sound, gotta remove.
Yeah, yeah. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. People wanna talk that talk in reality. You have not seen me in action. You think the come up comes overnight. You ain't behind the scenes. Trust me, these things don't just happen. No shade to Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you tryna eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you tryna cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats, and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan, hey. I've been saving all I can, hey. You could call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands, hey. We ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one on my team look at an empty plate. Yeah. Went from a boy to a man, ayy. Every day been making plans, ayy. They don't really understand, ayy. Gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam, yeah. Only worried about the fans, yeah. I won't compromise the brand, yeah. I've been saving all the bands, whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. Rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah, rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah.
Doing fantastic. Hopefully, I will not curse any more games because I'm pretty sure that's why I wasn't on the last couple of broadcasts. You were testing out things, making sure that everything works. Now, carefully putting me back one game at a time. Of course, I think I'm joking, and I'm really ready to be back here and analyze some games.
Kaya, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Hopefully everything doesn't explode now that Rev's returned and we've been able to return, but we
Fingers
shall
crossed.
see.
Fingers crossed. Talking about our return, we have a bit of a recap of some things you won't have caught because they weren't put up on stream. So here is a set of the standings as they currently are in the Four Nations. Reminder that top 6 go to playoffs, top 4 into the upper brackets, and bottom 2 enter a difficult relegation bracket against some of our Division 2 talent. Check out Division 2 if you haven't already. It is over on the UKL Twitter. We're going to get some games broadcasted in the future. We're going to get that sorted soon. But right now, we've got something a little more pressing. Ruddy versus Lions Creed, the top 2 teams you've just seen there, are going to go head to head. This is it. This is the top match of the UKL. Rev, what you thinking? Initial impressions? It's been a long season, and these two finally go head to head once more.
Well, it's gonna be a banger, okay, that's for sure. None of those teams are the epitome of a clean game. Lions Creed in the mid game, in the early game, Ruddy in the mid game to late game, so they all have their different fiesta moments where they like to partay.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be for sure a hell of a match in which I think there's a heavy favorite. But I'm really reluctant to open up all my cards right now.
Okay, Kaya, what about you? You think we're gonna be close? Are we gonna be pushing the envelope of what we've seen so
Yeah.
far this tournament?
It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, Ruddy for the last however so many weeks have had so many different changes with mid and jungle.
Ketsuo
that
having a holiday. Hope they were
Yeah,
good.
obviously he's had a holiday and all that, and now he's come back tanned and ready to go. So they've obviously had their own challenges on that side. Lions Creed were what we thought were the most consistent, but in the second kind of half of the split have kind of shown little bits of weaknesses that teams have been able to punish. So it's a case of, have Lions Creed as a team reached their ceiling in the UKL? Are they getting any better, or are the other teams catching up? The teams like Versic, like Ruddy, have they gotten better?
There's a decent argument. Verzik smashing it right now, flying up the standings, not dropping a game for a little while. Quite exciting to keep our eye on. I think we're gonna go over Brain. I'll catch up. I think we've got a VT. I think we're gonna cut to a VT. We're gonna do a Ruddy. All right. So, Rev, Ketsuo's back in. Puru still on the roster, swapping in and out with Crisis. What do you think?
Well, Zach is still super broken,
He
so Puru should be there. For some reason, he's been getting it more often than not. The rest of the team aren't doing their due diligence in the scouting department or watching the rest of the games. I'm calling everyone out. You should always watch the rest of the games. And he's been honestly smashing it, picking Zach in good comps. Great. Picking Zach in bad comps doesn't matter. It's still a piece of slime. He can still make the enemies kiss each other and have some headaches. So he's always making that big work, and it's working excellent in the mayhem that Ruddy causes in the mid to late game. Because if you don't know what you're doing, the enemy will not know what you're doing, so they don't know how to act and counter you, and that's when you strike with the elastic sling.
That's just a good summary of UK League of Legends, I think.
It's a
That's
little
how
bit
we
of chaos.
summarise it.
It's the secret ingredient. It's just that little bit of extra spice. I think, from my point of view, that's definitely where Lions Creed and Ruddy have succeeded. They invite that, and then in the late game, they're very powerful and very strong as a unit. All right, let's throw it over to Lions Creed and Kaya. This is a team that, oh nope, never mind. 2v2.
Oh.
Is that right? So
Yes. So this is obviously the first time that these teams kind of fought. We kind of iterated on the desk. I remember being on the desk for this game. It was a lot of overforcement between the two teams, and kind of Lions Creed just came out on the better side of these kind of overforce plays in the long term, and were able to kind of then choke out Ruddy on their side.
yeah, the pressure, overwhelming pressure, you could say, that invited Ruddy to go forwards. And yeah, it was a scrappy one. A difficult setup. And when you're at the top of the table, when you want to win that regular season, really does make the difference to have the head-to-head over that opponent. Okay. So, we've said a tense matchup. Rev refuses to choose someone to pick. And we've seen a bit of a VT.
I can choose.
Oh, go on then. Let's commit.
Okay, I'm gonna commit because it's gonna be Lions Creed.
Okay.
The game is never decided in the early game, especially in the UKEL, because everyone's gonna commit mistakes. Everyone's gonna commit atrocious crimes against humanity, to which they're gonna
Only
be
a
paying
little,
later.
only a little bit of chaos.
A little bit. Just you can always give your team a little bit, like a slice of crimes against humanity in your game, because it won't hurt. But the thing is, when you compare their two playstyles, and I know we're stating it in a humorous manner, but they too tend to have opposite playstyles. Ruddy tends to smash the early game and then have some funny moments, and on the other side, Lions Creed is struggling in the early game, but then always tends to find that miraculous team fight and seems to be picking their pieces and becoming stronger and stronger as the game goes on into the late game. So we know that nobody can win a game strictly through early game, and we know that where Ruddy is struggling, Lions Creed Academy is shining. So I feel like it is a counter matchup, and I know I'm discussing it in a very card game
it's broad.
mentality.
That's okay.
But I think it's just an unlucky matchup for Ruddy.
Yeah, and in contrast to Ruddy, who have had their jungler in mid and extra junglers come in, Lions Creed Academy unchanged this season. Bustpop, QQR Spark, and the Heathen with no assistance in draft has been enough to ride the top of the standings and lead the top three. Top three have definitely broken away. I think it's fair to say Lions Creed coming up above them. Kaya, Rev's just gone over why he thinks this is a counter matchup. How are Lions Creed going to play this one out? What's going to be the special sauce? What do you think they've got in the tank that they've saved for their strongest opponent of the regular season?
Yes. So the major highlight for Lions Creed in the last time these two played was QQR on his signature Corki pick. He was able to dish out uncontrollable amounts of damage. I really do think that Spark, however, has really kind of grown into this league and really showcased his kind of prowess as an ADC, UK ADC that is very well known. Won UKLC when it was around, so he is a very veteran figure in this kind of scene. I think the matchup between him and Sin is definitely one that is going to have to be watched, and obviously QQR versus Ketsuo. Now that Ketsuo is back, that's a massive advantage for Ruddy to be able to have in the mid lane, because I think Ketsuo is unbelievably good, probably the best mid laner in this league from what we saw last split, and in the RPS I thought he really showcased some amazing potential on picks like Azir and stuff like that. Obviously Middlecott has come in as the coach of Ruddy. So you mentioned Lions Creed haven't got a coach. Now that Ruddy have brought in the biggest of brains available to them, it's I don't think it's as easy or as painted as we first expect. I don't think Lions Creed are as confident as maybe when they came into the matchup. I was talking to a couple people before about the LAN record between these two teams compared to kind of online, and it has been very much Lions Creed Academy / Cabbage Family favored in these matchups. So maybe, just maybe, with the addition of Middlecott as the gaffer, we might see a turnaround of prospects for this roster.
All right, we're going to check in with the helicopter in the sky. Production, how long until we can get into draft? Soon. Soon is the answer from the helicopter in the sky, but not quite yet, so we're going to keep going. It's all right. I've had a long day, everyone at home. Just like Middlecott will have been preparing for this draft. No pressure, buddy. Gone over the coaches. Gone over the maybe like the scaled up macro that will like define the late game setup. Is there anything else you guys are excited about right now? We are on we're not quite on the live patch anymore. We've left the NALCS behind despite their best efforts to copy us. Is there anything in the patch right now that you think might be a twist? We've highlighted QQR's Corki, maybe not as strong as when these two teams first met. Anything else on the cards that's got you thinking?
Well, honestly, I'm excited to see if Smolderwick pass through, and I want to see the off-tank Smolder pick. So I think that it kind of fills Corki's shoes now that Corki has been nerfed with interaction between the Malignants and the Eclipse. So you can go it on the Smolder. Yes, you're sacrificing range a little bit, but it's more or less the same thing. You have that big ultimate which mimics the package, albeit it's quite weaker early on in the game, and you scale into Oblivion. So you'll be able to once again fill the shoes of the Lion's Creed Prophecy, sack at the early game, then beat the enemy in the late game, because you're gonna have a small Elder Drake in you. That's one, and then I'll be looking for some pretty boring, honestly, but teamfight picks. It could be all of the greens, so Zac, Maokai, maybe Renata Glask. I said green because she has a pretty good green chroma in the latest skins. So all of those huge teamfight tools are the way to go, I think.
Kaya, anything you've got on your radar?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the picks have been actually covered by Rev. I mean, it's really going to be interesting. Obviously, Ruddy are on that blue side, so it'll be kind of down to Lion's Creed or Ruddy to depend on the kind of priority we put on picks like Smolder, Maokai, etc. Obviously, Zac, as Rev's mentioned, a really good pick for Peru, but in the last game, Aka's actually piloted the Zac versus Lion's Creed Academy as well, so there is the chance of flexibility for picks like that. And I mean, Smolder's just kind of like a Sin type of
It's a
champion.
very Sin AD character.
He's piloted a massive range of champions this split, and at the first time we kind of compared the two teams, with Lion's Creed having this very designed way of how they draft, and that obviously comes from years and years of playing together, whereas Ruddy were trying all sorts of really weird combinations and different changes in bot lane. I think there was a Zyra at one point where everyone was a bit like, what is that doing on our screens? And Sim was just like, I don't know either, I'm going to win. Obviously, it will be up to Middlecott, depends on how much he belts his team in draft.
Talking of which, here we are. There is one character no one's mentioned, as QQR's Corki gone to the wind, shock to no one. Gentlemen, before the bans come through, quick gambit, very thematic for the champion. Feel free to join in and chat. How likely is Twisted Fate to appear in this draft, picked or banned?
I love it at the moment.
I don't believe in the Twisted Fate, honestly.
I love it at the moment.
I love it too, but I think it's a huge trap.
Okay.
Because he, in theory, he's this annoying, like little fly of a champion. He doesn't deal a lot of damage early on in the game, but he builds the Swifties. He has all that movement speed in his build. He gets Ghost wherever he goes, and he just flies on, being annoying and just slapping you slowly yet surely with his annoying little cards. But if you haven't synced a lot of games for him, it's not the same as playing APTF, where you just go for the blue card, you toss in your wild cards, and then you say, okay, my job here is done, bye-bye. Whatever the rest of my team does is good, but I cannot do anything else for the next 5 or 6 seconds. You need to adjust
very
your
quickly. Let's get Kaya's impression. Twisted Fate in this game. Hey, never mind.
I was.
They heard us. Sorry. They knew.
Everything we've mentioned so far
I rumbled
is
too
absolutely
much,
gone.
my bad.
No
Neither Ruddy or
mosquitoes.
Lion's Creed want any of us to have any fun on this desk so far.
All right, Kaya, first band's coming through. Your impressions.
Yeah, no fun. That's my first impression. But very learned. This is a very learned draft from both of these teams. We highlighted the Zac flexibility, the Corki damage from the last game. Ketsuo and his Azir is now off the table. Karma, a really nice first pick. Obviously, multiple flex lanes and stuff. The kind of Karma Ezreal kind of debate is still around and stuff. It'll be interesting to see what Ruddy prioritized as a B1. Ashe left open as well. That's a massive Spark champion. It's kind of like been Lucian Ashe that's really high priority for Spark at the moment, and he's ridiculously good. I think I saw a kind of Ashe game recently from this man, and he was unbelievable. But yep, Varus locked in. That is no surprise for Sin. He locked this in the last time that these two teams played against each other, and he was really good on this champion.
All right, Rev, Varus in first. Are we going to see the Ezreal rebuttal, or are we going to see something else from this patch?
No, I wouldn't like to see the Ezreal. There's still quite a lot of options like the Kalista or the Senna if you want to just stabilize the lane, which I like a lot more. Yes, you're not really threatening the Varus early in the game, but you're scaling. You'll have more or less the same teamfight impact if the Varus goes into the lethality. You can heal your team, so in front to back it's way better. And especially paired with the Vi, which I see, you have all the means in the world to just lock down the Varus and never allow him to play the game unless he gets ahead with some miracle of a play.
All right, Kaya, you called the Ashe coming through. So plenty of pick potential. Vi and Ashe can chain off of each other quite easily, holding each other still for a ridiculously long stun. I was like, suppression's not the word I'm going for. Sin will no doubt have already picked Cleanse, but we can't see his summoners yet. We'll see that one coming through in a moment. Some engage from the Nautilus. Is this the development you would go for, or do you choose something else?
You could have gone potentially something like a Maokai with the flex between jungle and support, but I mean, it's kind of personal player preference really, especially at this level. It might just be that Jamsu just prefers kind of going the Nautilus matchup. It's not going to really get too horribly punished in lane, depends on how it pilots, but that is a Wukong that has been locked in.
Okay, Rev, this is a Puri special from a long time ago. Does go for the Wukong secondary, loves that. Like, it's like miniature Zac ult at home. Is it something you prefer in the jungle or top lane right now? Because it got buffed specifically for the top lane.
Well, I think in top lane it's way better right now, especially considering that when we think of Wukong, we think of a carry. But when you want a carry, you need to get ahead or at least have the income, which you kind of lack in the jungle at the moment. You get to that 1-2 item spikes and then you struggle unless the game goes really in your favor. So in the top lane, you can still get some plays, you can go side lane, absorb all that free XP and gold that those minion waves give you. So I really prefer it, although it would be a blind pick top laner, and it is quite good into the Vi matchup. If you manage to use your clone to soak up the Vault Breaker, you always win. The enemy carry is also immobile, so I think the wisest choice should be the jungle Monkey.
Alright, Kaya, bans coming through both mages.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the ASO. That must be something that they know that not many other people know about.
Ketsuo went on holiday to the stars.
Yeah, maybe he's just come back and he's just spammed ASOL for no particular reason. Like, I don't know. Obviously Veigar, a massive QQR kind of champion. Hui getting banned away again. Ketsuo's played that an awful lot when he has been in the UKL, so we're definitely kind of shortening the options for these kind of mid laners. We're definitely getting rid of the mages. There's another one that was very high in priority, Orianna going away, so it's really a question of what do both teams want in the mid lane.
Alright, 4 scaling mages all gone. Rev, what's left?
Well, the Taliyah is excellent with Vi at the moment. You can create so much space for your team with the wall, like honestly, more like deny the enemy team space, and then nobody can get away from your Rubble Death with the Vi lockdown coming in, so you're sure that you can dish out all of your damage, you're sure that you can create all that space, and it also works very well into the mobility that the Wukong and the Nautilus can provide for themselves.
Go on, Yasuo top.
Yasuo
Go
top?
for it.
We're calling
Go
it?
for it.
Is that the
Go for
Aka's
it,
Ash?
Irelia.
I think it's
Greg-
probably
Gragas
the Gragas.
mid. No, Gragas mid. Yasuo top. Come on.
We'll see if
Let's lock
it's
it in.
left flexible.
Look at
Gragas
all the
into
airborns.
Nard.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. Gragas, sort of great nullifier of the lane, and contributes to breaking up nice team fight compositions with a bit of chaos. Technically, that's flexible.
Yeah, Gragas could be mid as well. The Sylas is a good matchup into the Gnar. It's one of the nicest matchup you can have post level 6 at least, because the Gnar ultimate on you is, I think, better damage wise. If I'm not mistaken, you're getting some nice numbers. But I would really like to see the Taliyah here. There's so many dashes. I know that Syndra can outrange you and create more space, but it's she's not in the best state meta-wise.
Lions Creed thinking in their last few seconds, who's the 5th best mage on the patch? After 4 late stage bans, QQR selects Syndra. Let's wait and see, I suppose, where Ruddy Painkillers will be sending their laners. I can't imagine it'll be Gragas into Syndra.
Oh, no, not really. I can't imagine that's the case. But on the side of Ruddy, you have 5 go buttons if Sylas steals like an Ashe
Anything.
ult or a Gragas ult or a Vi ult. Like, if you wanted engage or we're going in now, I mean, you have it all on the Ruddy sort of side. I mean, Lions Creed are going to have to utilize what they have in order to kite quite a lot. It's going to be a lot of back to front for them. They have Spark on the Ashe, who is able to do so. We have seen him multiple times be able to keep himself at a relative nice distance, and he's got the Braum kind of sitting on him as well, which is a really nice pairing for these two to be going into a Varus and a Nautilus.
All right, gentlemen, very fast, your impressions on the draft. Who's coming out ahead in this setup?
Well, I really like the Braum. It's Braum versus 4 melee champions. I know there's a lot of dashes which may bypass him, may be ready to go into your backlane, but I believe that the heart is the strongest
All
monster.
right, Lions Creed for Rev. Kaya,
Ready.
ready to going. All right, it's top 2. It's time. We're going to kick it over to our casters. We'll see you after the game.
Thank you so much, Temporal and the desk. I am Brackish Brett. I am joined by my Zebra duo. Jika's here as well. And we are going straight into a pause, so we have a moment. Drew, do you want to tell folks why you were so sad there wasn't a Taliyah?
There's so many dashes on this team, right? You've got Wukong, you've got Nautilus, you've got Sylas, you've got Gragas. It's such a good Taliyah angle, not to mention how well it goes with the Vi. It's so insanely sad that this champion was not taken, because the amount of value you would have gotten from a Taliyah this game. I'm ready to go and find a corner already, and the game's not even started.
I see. I knew that this was just going to bother you, and I suspected we'd come to our cameras to just see a really animated, like, Charlie Day moment from you. So I'm glad you provided us with that. Hello. Just a little bit of pause as production, well, as we just mentioned. We'll get into the game as soon as we can. But, you know, bottling away the Taliyah sadness, what's your pick onto this draft? Obviously, the analysts were split. Where are you leaning?
It's dependent for me. I think if... I just whacked my mic, I do apologize. I think if Ruddy can find themselves an early lead, you're looking at a very strong game plan. But not thinking their strength, they're definitely like in the Lions Creed, if they can really get the ball rolling with this Ashe, Vi, Syndra, you scale relatively well. You have a very, very good time in team fights. They kind of have the edge for me.
We'll see if that is the case, though, because Ruddy Painkillers, they're looking to be very aggressive here. Porp stepping towards the river. Jamsu has gone over the wall with the flash on the Nautilus. It looks like Lions Creed Academy are completely unaware of this, however, but Porp, I don't know if he smells something's up. Nope, looking to step back in. Jamsu will find the angle. Root up, the flash won't get you out, my man. And that's 5 Painkillers stood ready and waiting. And a first blood delivered straight to Ketsuo's pocket.
Well, forget everything I said. They have an early lead.
So how does that change the early matchup, obviously? Because you still have the range versus melee. QQR is going to have the advantage naturally, just by the nature of Syndra. How does that affect it now? How much has that helped Ketsuo out?
If Ketsuo can get on top of QQR at any point throughout this lane, QQR just has to leave. This Dark Seal is going to make a massive difference, and there's already a fight going on the bot side as the stun lands.
Yeah, the Pride not happy just to, rest on their laurels as Sin gets caught between his turrets. No summoner is going to be used. Spark will take him down. Jamsu has no flash to speak of either. There's Ignite there. One Morocco will do it. And Spark gets a double kill. The early game is mental, Sheikah, as we get 3 kills in 2 minutes.
We asked for a Battle of the Titans in the top 2 matchup, and apparently not even 2 minutes into the game they're going to deliver. Good lord, this game is already proving to be an insane game.
We'll see if it keeps going that way. Right now, of course, junglers, we get an uneasy status quo return. Spark and Heathen will go back to put that gold into items. That's 2 long swords for the Ashe. It's going to make this lane very difficult for Sin and Jamsu to get priority in. But now I'm looking to see if Port can get something happen on the map, because he is, of course, down the flash for the first one.
Indeed, we don't necessarily need flash on this Vi. Cover QQR here. Can't quite find anything though, can't quite get into the fight.
And he was like, if he had his flash, he could have flash Vault Break at that. Bust. Taking the bad side of the trade, we heard the desk talk about it though. This is a good matchup for the Gragas, especially early where you can't really get away from the body slams very easily as the Gnar.
Absolutely. I mean, it's slowly going to go in the Gnar's favor as you get a bit more damage under your belt, as you get a bit more health under your belt. But you should realistically never be solo killing the Gragas in this lane, but you should also never be getting solo killed yourself. So it's going to be a bit of a stalemate lane, I think. You're going to be looking at a slower lane throughout the first 10-15 minutes of the game until we start to see fights come out. We might see a couple of early fights around Grubbies, around the Kevins, but I would be a little bit shocked to see either of these players really doing anything amazing in the isolated 1v1.
Well, right now they do seem pretty content to just farm themselves away. Just did know he was on a ward, I think. Damage coming back and forth might end up turning into the 1v1. Akka's on the run. The phase rush not quite enough to get in towards Bust, and the rock flies across. Not gonna land. Potion, and of course the happy hour will be able to keep Akka's topped up.
That was too close for comfort. I swear, I'm so good at cursing. I'm the best curse known to man.
Right now, things calming down a little bit from that first 2 minutes. Heathen looking for the angle forwards though. Jamsu will be able to block him off. Concussive blows not able to be propped by Spark. And I was saying that Sin and Jamsu are going to have a hard time getting prior in this lane. Not so.
The problem with Ashe Braum into Varus Nautilus is it's really hard for this Braum to ever step up aggressively. Even though you get that early double kill onto Spark, you really are going to struggle to get into the face of it, because if Heathen steps up that step too far, Jamsu has the perfect angle to throw the hook at Spark, which will allow Sin to just blow this Ashe up. Varus early game damage is nothing to sniff at, especially at this point in the game, and it's only going to get worse as the game goes on. So trying to find a way to shut down this Varus, ideally with the help of Porp, is going to be the way to play this out.
Akka's looking to step out of top lane here to see if they can see what Porp is doing. Right now, I have got a little bit of a freeze on my end. I don't know if you...
yeah, no, I've got it as well, don't worry.
We'll have a word from production, hopefully, on where we're at with that. We have had a brief technical issue. We'll hopefully get back into the game as quickly as possible. But early kills quietened down a bit. We saw Porp got on towards those grubs, those Kevins. And at that point in time, it wasn't really easy for Puru to get towards Drake. So this is going to be picked up. 2 grubs traded for 1. Puru is able to get up and get 1 for himself. So it's not fully Academy phase. Ooh, QQR though,
QQR.
dropping hella low as Ketsuo can try and get away here. But with Heathen in mid lane, Spark has now been left alone. Flashing away though, Sin is not able to drop the damage. He's got more levels. But Spark somehow presses both summoners, lives, and will be able to catch the wave at least. But a couple of plates go across. Torp is now here looking for the angle towards the Varus. I don't know if it's going to be achievable though. Sin going to be able to glide out of there.
Go for the dives, the punish. And Spark, you can take a kill for your Shrubbles. Jamsu just taking a couple too many tower shots, the damage coming through. And I mean, wow. That's a lot of action all at once. The explosive cask used to shove a wave in. QQR escaping on next to no health. The dive in the bot lane that really shouldn't have gone the way it did. And it's still a net positive for Lions Creed Academy.
Well, right now they are still building up a little bit of a gold lead. However, with the resets coming through right now, it does seem like Ruddy are going to have that easy time stepping forward. But QQR might have something to say about that. Jamsu, nearly with the counter punch, doesn't quite land the dredge line. Puru taking a little bit of damage, and now Ketsuo is here. Lions Creed Academy will step away. Ruddy Painkillers choosing to do the same, however, so the Drake will remain untaken for now.
First dragon, it's an ocean dragon. You're not too upset about giving this over, but gold is gold, and realistically you want to keep a tight hold of this lead you have already accrued. Of course, Grubby's already gone your way. Paul?
That was a button press of all time.
That
And Ketsuo
finger
spotted it out as
question
well.
mark?
The flash has been, it was seen to be used by Ketsuo as well, so Ruddy Painkillers, they know that they are way safer to go aggressive in these next 5 minutes as Puru finds his way into mid lane with the Cyclone, and an immobile mage like the Syndra hasn't got a chance. Will get taken down. A second kill for Ketsuo.
The scatter going that little bit too wide. There's an arrow coming in bot lane.
Drop onto Jamsu. Will be able to get the stun down, but Nautilus is just about tanky enough to survive this. Heathen's got to be careful, though. If a dredge line lands, that could be curtains as it finds Spark. The damage not quite here. The aftershock will keep Jamsu alive, and the shutdown will also be picked up by Jamsu. Ketsuo on the chase, looking to get onto Heathen. And the Braum will not survive in close quarters like that. Ketsuo gets another, and the Painkillers can take the break.
The small lead you had available to you ever so slightly overextended. You overplayed your hand, friends. Now there's a Silas with 3 kills up against you, and you have a lot of good ults for this player to take Ketsuo. You've got the Gnar, you've got the cease and desist, you've got the unstoppable power. Even the arrow is insane here, right? This is a dangerous position to be in. Silas now level 7 in this game. Sure, you're a level down on QQR, but ultimately you can steal away whatever you so please. And this next team fight is gonna be a world of hurt for the Lions Creed Academy. Let's just hope that cabbages don't bruise quite as easily as people.
Looking towards the next objectives coming up, we've got the second set of grubs coming up very shortly. That could be the next point of contention. Thankfully, of course, Lions Creed Academy, they don't even need to step up to them. Realistically, they've already got 2 grubs, so no 5 buff can be secured by Ruddy. And it's still another 4 minutes until next Drake comes up. 4 minutes until Shelly comes up.
Got a lot of time to be looking to play with. Time is not necessarily a virtue you have currently.
Well, the poke coming in the bot side. Right now, they get the push in, but the damage isn't sticking all that well. Jamsu has already picked up a Warden's Mail, which is going to do a lot for dealing with Spark's damage here. Of course, if you can keep Sin safe just long enough, then things could turn very bad for the side of Lions Creed Academy right now. However, Torp and QQR are buddying up for the time being. Going to look to start off those grubbies, and right now Ketsuo is looking for a back timing. However, TP up, Puru looking to come in, doing a large chunk of damage with the Cyclone. The cease and desist will come through as well. Puru picks up that one. Ends up being 3 for 3 as Akis will come down to help secure. Bust actually looking for a bit of damage in, not quite going to convert. Gragas already getting pretty tanky, well on the way to Aroa. which of course make him even harder to kill.
Lions Creed looking like they're fumbling the bag a little bit, not too sure what they want to be doing, and getting caught unawares left, right, and center. Need a minute to restabilize, need a second to think over the game plan for the next 10 minutes. You say Grubs are now down, that dragon coming up in 2.5 minutes. Shelly will be there around the same time as well.
So if you're Lions Creed right now, based on that, both of these objectives are coming up around the same time. Are you prioritizing Shelly here, or do you want to try and contest the second drone?
Depends on what dragon it is. We do have the spectator bug, so we're not too sure if it's Hextech or Chemtech, but if we can find out at some point here soon, we'll know. I'll be able to give a bit of a safer answer. So it's Chemtech. It is Chemtech. Thank you, production, for that. So
The individual
I think
ones are
Shelly.
pretty good.
I think Shelly is actually more worth here. I mean, each individual Chemtech Drake gives you heal and shield power.
And
There's
tenacity.
not really that much healing or shielding around this game.
Fair.
So I think, generally speaking, Shelly is the better shout. But we'll have to see as the game goes on. Especially considering normally at this point, with Shelly spawning so soon, we'd expect to see bot top rotate their ways around with the lead, especially with the lead that Lions Creed Academy have on their bot lane. But there is an invade, so the fight's going to start.
Porp stepping in, has to immediately flash out. And it is Heathen who is going to suffer the brunt of the damage. Doesn't quite drop for now. Porp going incredibly low as well. Unleash power onto Sin will knock him down. Puru is just about able to take down Heathen. QQR will drop underneath his tower as well, but Spark is feeling himself on the Ash, dodging away from the dredge line. Ketsuo is space gliding. One more hit would do it. The E does not follow through. Ketsuo still looking for the Kingslayer. Not able to get it as Spark will take him down. Jamsu looking for the 1v1 here with the Nautilus. He might need to hook out, but he isn't going to get it as Spark is ignited and he goes up to 5 kills.
Flashes of bright lights and the crackle of electricity surging through Spark's veins as the space gliding just doesn't stop. We've seen nothing like that since Zeri days, where the champion was just so fast you could never catch her, and that was even with speed. This was normal movement speed. This was just pixel perfect positioning left, right, and center. Spark, I mean, the Desk talked about it. He's been scaling up all split. He's finally hit the point where he can really start to show off.
The numbers go to 11. It feels like Spark's getting pretty damn close to that, Jika. The Drake just about spawn onto the Rift. Lions Creed Academy do seem to be prioritizing that side right now. Puru, of course, coming out of base, has a flash, doesn't have a Cyclone, however, which means it's going to be a little bit hard, perhaps, to execute on this, but already Painkiller's members coming from all sides as Porp gets jumped on. The Vi already dropping super low, can't get out, as Puru will take that one down. Akers also TP's in for good measure. The explosive cask will pull back, Heathen will knock that one down. And the Painkillers will be able to secure their second Drake of the game. They do leave Buster low towards the top side though, so there's some money to be had there potentially.
Is indeed. Dragon will go down. 2 dragons. Save for 0. As we are heading onto the Cloud Rift as the winds quicken. And that soul, kind of good for both of these teams. Can't lie.
And there's that first perk I was talking about. Sin
Flash
flashes forwards. Porp is going to try and play bodyguard. TPs are coming in. Sin will drop. Akers doing a large chunk of damage, but they're not able to get onto Spark again. Jamsu dropping the depth charge. Still not able to find him though. Heathen body blocking. QQR drops the scatter the weak over the wall, and Spark does not get snuffed out again.
The synergy of Cabbage Creed really showing its face in the Lions, the pride, showing pride in that fight. Just get down, Mr. President. Spark is being protected by everybody. Puru gonna take a Herald for their troubles, but you're losing fights time after time after time because you cannot kill this Ashe.
The Ashe is very much... President has been identified in this game. There is the slight worry of that, however. Painkillers now have a very clear target. I mean, even clearer than it was earlier in the game. Spark is the linchpin of this team. And if he drops,
As
it will be a
Ketsuo.
huge problem as Ketsuo goes straight onto the backline.
Wait, it's
QQR doing a good job of making space, but Ketsuo will be able to find his prey. The Ashe will drop. Is traded back, but it's 2 for 1 in favor of the Painkillers. The gold not looking all of that impressive at the moment, and there's still a Shelly in Peru's back pocket.
This game is so cutthroat.
We asked for blood.
It's so close.
We asked for back and forth. We're getting all that and more. The Painkillers, they want payback for losing earlier in the split. They want payback for that LAN record. The Lions Creed Academy have been holding over them for so long. 12 to 11, only 1,000 gold in it right now. If this is two teams fighting for pride and for that top spot in the Four Nations, this feels like that game.
It definitely is that game, and we are seeing more and more cracks in the Lions Creed armor as the split has gone on. I think this game kind of shows it perfectly. Right, at the start of the split, we were seeing very clean gameplay, very coordinated gameplay, and Porp and QQR and Bust, this top side, just completely running the map. You know, you couldn't get 5 seconds without Porp showing up somewhere and being a nuisance to the enemy team. And this game, and I think the last couple of games, if memory serves, Porp has just been shut down from the get-go, making his life very, very hard.
Let's not forget, Lions Creed Academy have suffered 2 losses, both of them fairly recently. The most recently was their very last game against Verzik.
Which we didn't get to see, unfortunately, so we have no idea how that unfolded. But,
Big numbers.
ooh, Ketsuo.
We'll say big numbers. Heathen trying to get on out of this one. Chain of Corruption not going to be used as Akka's looking to drop the damage. Shelly will drop as the explosive cast will pull Heathen far enough away from the turret. Spark trying to space glide, but there's so many buttons being pressed on him. The depth charge. Huro on the chase. Ketsuo will take him down as well. The tower will drop also. There's just too many engage tools for the side of Ruddy. If all 5 members of Lions Creed Academy are not concentrated, then there's just not enough appeal for him.
Spark feeling himself a little bit too much there. I mean, you've got Chain of Corruption, you've got Depth Charge, you've got the
A stolen
Anchor,
cease and desist.
you've got the stolen Season Assist, in this case the stolen Chat Crystal Arrow, you've got the Cyclone, you've got the Explosive Cask. There is so many different ways to just click in Spark's general direction and watch him flail. The space gliding is good, but it's not good enough when there is just layer after layer after layer of constant crowd control.
Ready. And this is what I said, the danger of having a sort of protect the president comp. You know who you need to assassinate. Every single time. If Ruddy can get onto Spark and take him down, they're not at the point yet, Lions Creed Academy, where Spark dying is not a death blow to their team fight. QQR is at 2 items, but has built very defensively. Got the Seraphs, got the Banshees. Needs more damage to become a real carry threat. Bust is on 2 items, but has yet to fully participate in a big 5v5.
And I think once we start seeing Bust join up with the rest of the team and land some of these big Gnar ultimates, we can start to see some more of what this Lions Creed roster can really do. But until such a point, it's going to be very, very hard. Sin, 2 items now, still scaling.
The Gnar been taken away by Ketsuo here. The Drake has spawned. It will be Soul Point. And Ruddy are melting it down. It will get taken down. Porp trying to jump forwards, gets melted before he can even use the cease and desist. All of the CC dropping towards Spark as the Ashe is completely soloed out towards the side. Ketsuo looking for the chase here. Will gnar him into the wall for the double kill. Bust is on the run as it is 1 traded for 3 and the Soul Point for Ruddy. This Spark comp is getting snuffed.
It's definitely getting something. It's getting completely ruined through and through these fights. There's just so many ways to cut through this front line. As I was saying, you know, this Varus, 2 items now, very, very strong. This Silas, 2 items, very, very strong. Gragas and Wukong, they don't even need the items to be a threat, because as long as the flash is up, that gets terrifying.
And I'm looking at Ketsuo now. The other we've been shouting out Spark, but obviously Ketsuo, the beneficiary of the first blood, picked up 3 kills in the very early stages of the game. Now has Rod of Ages, has a Lich Bane, has the Arm Guard ready to go golden if he needs to, and of course, if he ever has to actually use it, he can just turn it into Zhonya's. We're chilling. Got a 10-stack Dark Seal that he can turn into a Medjai's whenever he feels like it as well.
Feeling a bit scholarly, we shall see. Ketsuo having a real standout game here.
I don't know. I
In
feel
fact-
like Silas is the kind of person who would burn down the library rather than, rent a book from it.
Well, this is fair. This is very fair.
Right now, Lions Creek Academy. They looked so dominant earlier in the split, as you said, but cracks have started to form in their armor. Feels like they're being kind of smothered at the moment. Burrow, Jamsu working together to deny as much vision as possible. Akaz is on the run
good
from
lord.
Bust, but the chance of him actually dying, never mind! As 2 items, Bust will pick him up. This Gnar, big on the side lane, but is it going to mean enough?
Oh my good lord. The percent health damage from Hyper is not balanced.
You could say it was busted. As he's looking to break open that tier 2 turret in the bottom lane. But again, I repeat, will it mean enough? Can Lions Creek Academy sort of tilt their playstyle into letting this Gnar be monstrous on the side lane?
Apparently, they are considering
yeah,
trying
no.
to force a fight to let this Gnar do his thing. Excuse me.
If they tried it while Akaz was still dead, then maybe I would have believed it. Tier 2, however, in bot lane does go down. We see Ketsuo shadowing Akaz back towards this lane, but of course Bust doesn't need to stick around. Will be able to just step away. And again, things go quiet. 2 minutes until the next Drake. That would be Cloud Soul for the Ruddy Painkillers if they are able to pick it up.
And that's a terrifying soul for this team.
Yeah. Wukong, yep. Silas, yep.
Varus
Varus.
allows him to just continue to space glide.
Yep.
Nautilus
No
sticking
kidding.
to you like a bit of honey.
It's spooky. It's very, very spooky, as we say. And in this 90 seconds, Lions Creek Academy, they've got to make something happen. But what is that? I mean, they can start off Baron. Obviously, Spark is still big. He can still melt it. But if Ruddy called their bluff, it feels like, the same old story.
Certainly could be.
Hurry
Bust
looking!
out.
Flash from Jamsu will force the flash out from Spark. And now the Ashe cannot step up to the fight. Ketsuo goes dominating. Hurry looking for the backline, but the stolen cease and desist right onto Spark, and he's gone like that. Snuffed out in an instant as 3 members of Lions Creek Academy are just gone, Jika, and the Baron will be shortly too.
Evaporated at sight was Spark. The CC thrown immediately. You do not have room to step in
You are
this
looking
game
to step
anymore,
up.
friend.
Bust coming in as well, though. Baron dropping low. Ketsuo finding the angle in. The Baron will drop QQR. You can't be there, my man. Looking for the kills, but he cannot find them. Bust has to run away as the Ruddy Painkillers grasp and clench hold of control of this game. There's 12 seconds for the Dragon Soul as well.
The game slowly ballooning. In fact, not even slowly, very quickly ballooning out of control in
And
favor
Bust just
of the
gone
Red
mega.
Painkillers.
Buster's just
Bust
gone
has
mega.
just
He's
gone
going
mega.
to be mini for this next fight. Okay, QQR
This is a
here.
disaster.
So QQR, 15 seconds before he comes back up, does have TP. But now
But I
we're
think the
seeing
Dragon's
Bust
just
is
dead
on a
before
recall.
then.
Exactly. I mean, Pork can't step into the river at all. It is
It's just
simply
dead.
going to be an uncontested Cloud Soul for the Ruddy Painkillers. I want a turnaround. As you said, when you have a big carry like that, it's great if you can protect them. If not, things go dicey very quickly, and they have rolled Snake Eyes this game.
They have definitely rolled the Snake Eyes a couple of times, and I mean, don't know if we've got any Risk of Rain players at home, but Snake Eyes is normally a good thing if the gambles aren't going your way, but in this case, not today. I mean, it's you're just down on your luck left, right, and center. There's so many ways to lock down. Like, in fact, no, you're not even down on your luck. Ruddy Painkillers are playing this game exceptionally. Bit of a rough early game, but they are playing this game out exceptionally. They have identified a target. They are throwing everything and the kitchen sink on this Ash's head, hoping the kitchen sink is heavy enough to knock her out. But if not, they have so many other tools to throw at her that she's just going to die instead of go out cold.
The push shall now continue. Painkillers, they don't want to have any sort of forced divisions. They are going to put all 5 members in as small a space as possible and see if Lions Creed Academy can deal with it. The answer has been no thus far. As they make their way towards the top side, Ketsuo has the TP ready. Puru was looking for the back line here. Ketsuo and Aka's also trying to find Spark. They've not succeeded in doing it just yet. Porp is on the run, and the Vi may well drop here, but QQR and Spark still alive for now. Bust trying to make space for him. Buster does a fantastic gnaw as Puru looking for the back line again. They are able to glide away quite well, but Spark, the flash, the kill. Ketsuo going legendary. And it looked good for a moment, but again, when all 5 members of Ruddy Painkillers are turned into a fist and thrown at the face of Lions Creed Academy, it's the face that busts. QQR, the only one left to defend. The Syndra has had a rough time this game. It's got some damage in pocket. Sin doing a hell of a lot though, and it will drop down. Sin picks that one up. There is only a siege minion right now, and that might just be the saving grace of Lions Creed Academy. There's not enough of a wave to end the game, as you say, but they have ballooned their gold advantage.
I just went on an emotional roller coaster of all time. Ruddy, it was so close to being over. Their vengeance was so close at hand. This close. And it was taken away from them. And it's worth mentioning, right? This is a 6,500 gold lead. And if Lions Creed cannot find a way to pull this back, if they can't win an Elder Flip and win the game off of that, this will be the first time all split Lions Creed will not be have hold of that top spot in the standings.
It would be a momentous moment. One that Lions Creed Academy would obviously sooner forget. But right now, everything looking just so fantastic for the Ruddy Painkillers. They're going to look to break all the remaining standing gold off of the map. QQR looking for a potential angle onto Sin here. The arrow will drop. The damage will drop. Unleashed power goes down. Porp is able to find him, but Sin hasn't died just yet. Porp will drop. The TP now coming in. 1,000 gold does go across to QQR, but he has dropped. Spark now needs to get away, but Jamsu is on his case. Bust trying to step forwards as well. Spark just trying to find that few inches of clear ground to stand and fight, doing some good damage, but he then drops. Bust is unable to come to his aid and just be able to run away. As these 2 remaining members of Lions Creed Academy, they've got 4 to contend with. There's no AD carry, so the turrets might not go down quite as fast, but Ketsuo's just taken the gnaw as the wave is coming in. And there's so much that Spark cannot step forwards. The arrow goes down. The explosive cast will send him flying away. Busters gets close to dropping, but the Painkillers will say no. That's enough pain for one day. They take down Lions Creed, and for the first time this split, they have control of top spot.
After the start of that game, it looked so good. I thought Lions Creed, they're back on form. We have the chance to see the Cabbage Creed that we hyped up so much this split. And I think that is their third loss back to back to back.
Have they been figured out, Chica?
They have been found. The kinks have turned to cracks, have turned to falters as their armor shatters atop their bodies. As the pile grows bigger and bigger, and the Reaper is knocking and knocking. They may lose control of first spot, but it's the next 2 games that we're looking at. Their strength of schedule is
to go, as you say.
They're meant to be the big titan in the league, but they're looking so cracked in terms of their armor. It's shattered. It's gone. It's
the other definition of cracked, the non-colloquial version of cracked.
Not the more recent one, the traditional one. it's going to be so hard for Lions Creed to try and rebuild as we come into playoffs, but I'm excited to see if they can do it. As for Ruddy, a beautifully played game. The Ducks honestly laughing all the way to the bank after this game. Very, very happy with that performance. And with sole control of first spot, they could be heading into playoffs as our number 1 seed.
They send themselves to the top spot. But again, 2 games remain for each team. Week 7 will be truly telling. But we've got a couple more games before we get to that. We're going to throw it back across to the desk, Temporal & Co. Take it away to break that one down for us.
Thank you, Brackish. All right. Bit of a banger, gentlemen. We saw something coming that would be of epic proportions. I wasn't sure it was going to be that, though, Rev. That was Ruddy pretty much from go.
Yeah, they had some mistakes. They did.
There was a cooling off period.
Yeah, they did cooled off by Sparks arrows, but after that they managed to figure. I think Giga was on the head. They managed to find out Lions Creed weaknesses, which is they are trying to skill check everyone, even when the game dictates for you to just chill and wait. You have a side laner who's doing stuff. You just need to clear waves and wait for the enemy to do stuff, and maybe then you can punish them at the first opportunity when they can. They clash heads with the enemy team, and they are getting punished because Ruddy was way more ready for the team, and Ketsu, oh my god, Ketsu was cracked with the non-traditional way.
It was definitely a sight to be seen. And with Ruddy taking control of first place, they've overcome the LAN record, Kaya. It's no longer Cabbage Creed Academy. And online, it seems to be Ruddy's game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the scores will show 1-1, but obviously...
The rest of the stream can hear you, though.
Oh, no. Is it on? Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go.
There he is.
I figured it out. Yes, as I was saying, obviously, on the side, it will show 1-1, but obviously Ruddy have been able to do it in quicker fashion than the Lions Creed from earlier in the split. So therefore, they will take over kind of the front running for the UKL. Obviously, the biggest next hurdle for these guys is just to kind of close out the split with no more hiccups, really. They have to face Venom Crest as well. So that'll be another really interesting one to see happen next. That's kind of the next big challenge for them, overcoming their kind of demons over the last couple of years for this roster. But yeah, really clean game from the side of them. Obviously Ketsu had a really nice performance. On the side of Lions Creed, I mean, I thought it was going to be a repeat of the first time these two met. As soon as I saw, I think it was Sin and Jamsu die bot lane under the enemy team's tower trying to, dive the Braum and Ashe, I really just thought we were going to be round 2, Ruddy overforcing. They're going when they don't need to go. They've not set up waves well enough. They're not kind of on the same page. But from that point on, it was a bit back and forth, and then kind of Ruddy just closed it out. They kind of stepped on the necks of Lions Creed and just took the win.
Yeah, repeated picks onto Spark was pretty crucial. I nearly said Kev then. That would be both of you and maybe some random blokes around the UK and Ireland, because that's how we roll. Rev, we've got a replay of our early start of the slide in bottom lane. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, I think that is the beginning of the end for Lions Creed, because it's really early into the game, but Lions Creed had a lead in the game. They were 1k ahead almost, and they are punishing QQR's lack of flash. Puru is having his finger on the trigger, make sure to execute perfectly, and then the insert aid. If you look at Ketsu, he didn't even let the wave crash. He knows that he's leading the bottom lane. The pressure from them collapsing leads to Spark, and he then be disconnected while they try to retreat. They're getting the kill. Of course, Jamsu got the kill, which is not the best case scenario, but Ketsu collects one more, and after this point he was 3-0-0, if I'm not mistaken. He also got the first blood, and he was really rolling. It was extremely difficult to stop Silas on his track from that point on.
Just looking down and seeing the 9, 1, and 5 in the mid game, I was like, yeah, this was Ruddy's win condition. This is all right. This is okay. They've overcome the late game already, like far too much. Kaya, I'm going to push you for some predictions. Up against Venom Crest, does this Ruddy do it? Has Middlecott potentially forcing them into scrims made a difference? Is this the Ducks that are going to ride through playoffs?
We kind of have now got a picture of how much Ruddy have progressed so far with the addition of maybe a coach, maybe kind of bringing together the ideas that these players have. I think that's definitely helped. I think the main part of that question is we kind of have to see what Venom Crest are going to be doing. They have obviously Nuclear Vikings today. They then have a massive test against Lions Creed Academy as well. I mean, the Venom Crest end of this season is ridiculously hard. If you're looking at this kind of the layout, they have obviously Nuclear Vikings, they've got Lions Creed, who beat them first time. Ruddy beat them the first time as well. So we kind of have to see where Venom Crest are at the moment. They've been one team that have looked really good for the first part of the split. Then the kind of middle part was really, really shaky. It didn't look all together in what they wanted to achieve. Maybe there was just some different ideas of how to play, or it was just getting too complicated. It kind of seems like in the last couple of games they've gone back to their basics, and that's really helped them kind of show their strength again. Obviously they lost to teams like Versic and stuff that have been showing a lot of progression. We have to see them against another top team. That's going to be our kind of benchmark for how good Venom Crest are. But obviously Ruddy go into these last 2 games next week really full of confidence, in commanding lead at the moment of the standings and full control on that side of things. They've kind of, as I said, defeated their demons. They know that they've got the kind of win record thanks to the head-to-head on the time. So they've just got couple more steps.
Final steps. And talking of final steps, that'll do it for the first half of the Four Nations tonight. Your UK and Irish League will resume after the break. We started a little later today, DMG unfortunately having to forfeit their earlier match. But that means we've got 2 bangers coming up. Versic versus Belfast Storm. Versic on the rise and Belfast holding on to try and sneak into playoffs. A tense game to be sure. And after that, Nuclear Vikings versus Venom Crest. Orbital and the boys will be back after the great break. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, Kaya. And thank you for watching. We'll be seeing you in a few minutes.
Pull up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on free, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that Lambo with the 10 on it. Everything on free, 14 got a rims on it. I pull up in that, 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 pull up Lambo with the 10 got it.
Yeah. Yeah. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. People wanna talk that talk, in reality you have not seen me in action. You think the come up comes overnight, you ain't behind the scenes. Trust me, these things don't just happen. No shade to Gerald, but G's don't come easy when you tryna eat out producing and rapping. I read that contract you sent me to sign, but excuse me, I can't help myself, I'm just laughing. Hey, you tryna cut out a piece of my pie, and I asked you politely, what's it that you offer me? Yeah, I produce all my own beats, and I have no intention of losing my publisher. Yeah, independent individual, boy, I've been eating off passive residuals. Yeah, let's be professional. Thanks for your time, but I had to decline at that principle. I've been scheming up a plan, hey. I've been saving all I can, hey. You could call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these bands, hey. We ain't messing with the old model. You are a new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a flaw. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest.
Hello and welcome here, everyone, to part number 2 of the UKEL4 Nations broadcast. We're very excited to be here again as we now have 2 more bigger matches, hopefully, on the horizon. Of course, my name is Orbital. A little bit of a change up from Temporal, probably a little bit of down kicks. Temporal is freaking awesome. And then we got Melvin Nizzle and Zika from the casting desk. Now back to this analytical side. Zika, I gotta ask you, how you feeling after that game that you just cast? How you feeling about these next 2?
Cautiously optimistic. I don't know if anything's going to live up to that level of hype. I have not jumped around so much in the last 2 weeks. If these games manage to get that kind of reaction out of me, I'm going to call it a successful day.
That's fair enough. And Melvin Nizzle, I mean, you're here, you're ready to go. We got 2 matches that have quite a bit on the line for a few of these teams. How you feeling about the anticipation that we might have for them?
Listen, I live in the spreadsheets, and I've been doing my best to look at all the potential implications for X beating Y, how this is all going to go. I think I've sussed it out to a reasonable degree, and not to use the cliche, but these matches are very important. From this point on, and, you know, everything that's happening today will matter for where these teams are finishing, whether that be hitting that double elimination, single elimination in playoffs, or even for both of our remaining games for today, looking at relegations.
Of course. Well, listen, we're hearing that the teams are almost ready to go, so let's go ahead and introduce them real quick. Melvin Nizzle, I need you to break it down. We got Belfast Storm coming in against Versa. Give us a little bit of a light touch on what we can expect and what's currently on the line for them.
So, taking a look at Verzik, we have something pretty cool. They just beat Lions Creed. Tragically, we didn't get to see how that game went down, but I did my best dissection taking a look at it. It looked to be pretty much everybody from jungler down on the map having absolute domination. Strangler playing Graves into Kindred had an amazing performance, and it really does make me wonder how they're going to be able to try and convert that into future games, because it didn't look like there was any distinct style to what they were doing that could just easily be banned out. I mean, it's the same thing they've been doing. Carry jungler, make it work. So I'm very curious to see if that Graves is going to be hitting the ban bench today, or if Belfast are not aware.
Oh, and I mean, Zika, on the other side, we got Belfast Storm, which has had some ups and downs and ups and downs. I mean, this squad is looking a little bit fun heading into what could possibly be their rise to the playoffs.
Certainly could be. I mean, since Dunlosey got brought into this roster, Dunlosey Limsey have been the shining star for this roster. Just need to see them step it up that little bit more, get back on the same page, start running these games like they used to. Their hopes of avoiding relegations kind of ride on the next 3 games that they've got. Today is included in that subsect. We really need to see them start to pick up the ball, get the ball rolling again, because if not, the Demons, they're going to come in, they're going to come with the fires of hell, and they're going to burn down the hopes and dreams of making playoffs for Belfast.
Oh, man. I will say this. I hate the idea of playoffs in general. I dislike thinking about all those stats. That's why we got Melvin Izzle here. That's why we got Zika ready to roll it out. So I want to get some thoughts about this game specifically. With all that's on the line, where are we looking for some of that action to break out? Because, I mean, last game, obviously, we saw it leaned a little bit heavier into that mid-ADC situation where the powerhouses were kind of splitting up. Zika, we'll start with you. Are there any players that you want to watch for here in the draft that we really need to keep our eyes on?
For me, it is Shida and Strangler up against Dunlosey and Limsey. Shida and Strangler have had very, very good showings, and the start of Verzik's winning streak was thanks to that Shida set that we've just seen banned away. If you can get Shida on one of these high agency, good team fight bruisers, and then put Strangler on something a little bit more carry oriented, you've got a very, very good layout for the rest of the game. Soren J, Dokai very happy to play more utility. Tycool, typically your AP scaling pick. On the flip side, Dunlosey, Limsey, very, very good at this mid-jungle 2v2. Very, very good at being able to control the map. So seeing something like Vi, Ari, or something very similar where you're just moving them around the map as a duo, making sure that they can allow Momo and Shin to play the game a little bit more, could be perfect. Only other player I'm thinking that we could see something great out of is Timur, and that's if this Ashe is left open. An amazing Ashe support player. These arrows are laser trained on so many players. In so many of the games, this champion's been picked for this player.
Hold up. Ashe ain't the only ADC that can engage regardless of role. Varus has been pretty much the MVP of getting picked in these first 2 moments, and I don't see it banned right now. A Yone, more... This is just pocket bans coming out across the board from Belfast so far, and it means that so many of the OPs are still open. There's the Varus, there's the Twisted Fate. I mean, the Ashe, like you were just talking about, Azir, there's nothing mid lane except for that Tristana ban. Now, it really does come down to, do you start picking a strong early bot lane here, or do we start to see something pivot? With that mid lane locked in so early, it means that now, playing into what you're talking about, Shida's pick could get left a much later in draft.
Yeah, that's what we were looking at, and of course, it looks like they are going to line it up, though. These are the power picks that you were talking about, the idea that, hey, there are so many left, and I actually like that, right? I like the idea of, listen, if we can only ban so many, just leave them all open. Everyone gets a piece of the pie that we all want, and hey, maybe we get a larger slice. It is going to be the Varus and the Graves locked in on the side of Versik. On the flip, though, to pair with the Azir, maybe a little bit of frontline to come in here. If not, let's see what other lanes you decide to do. You see the Varus, now you get countered.
It's a hard one to counter because you really can't outrange him super easily. You can't really take anything that he can easily fight in the early game because he can just take that lead. The Senna is an interesting one. You have to pick a tank with this, otherwise the Varus just does not have the room to play the game. So if this cat gets locked in...
Please no, please God no.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, if this cat gets locked in and Timur is feeling something a little bit spicy, we could be in for a little bit of danger, but we don't like to really talk about the hovers. There's 5 seconds left. Come on. That's more what we expect. That's more in line with what you want to take in this Senna lane. Varus now can't really step up to trade with this Senna super effectively. However, Nautilus is going to cry if you get an Enchanter picked on 3.
There's Enchanter. Braum is still on the table as a potential option if you want to have it for just that support matchup. But looking at this team, you need some degree of engage. You have the carry jungler of the Graves, but if you don't pick up an engaged support here, they do opt for the Braum, which means that now a severe weakness for this Verzik comp is getting that go button. I need to see which top laners in particular, Belfast are banning out. As far as mid laners go, I guess you could pick something like the Nico. That's on the table as an engage, pseudo-engage, but even then, like, what are you thinking?
Ice Witch.
Yeah?
I think Lissandra has so much value here, because not only does it give you a really easy way into the fight, there's a Senna who has negative health. You get Malignance, you Glacial Path into the backline, you press Frozen Tomb into Icicle Spear onto this Senna, half of her health is suddenly gone. Then the Graves has a chance to get into the fight, and the Varus is here, and everything starts to fall to pieces. So, I hope that's taken away.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea for it. Of course, right now, it's a little bit of a shift difference. We are seeing Belfast actually say, listen, we know CC is an option, but there are too many primary damage dealers that we have to take out of Tycool. On the flip, though, Versik have a similar idea of sorts. Ban away a lot of that CC and CC denial tools, right? The Poppy, something that I talked about last game. I mentioned that I would have liked to see Poppy. Talia and Poppy are well known as deniers in the game. Then you also opt for a way, hey, listen, if you can't get direct engage, go indirect. The Olaf banned away. You go ahead and say, no Ragnarok here today. Zika, what you got?
I actually don't hate Talia here for Verzik.
2 games in a row. Just get Talia.
So hear me out, right? Okay, the Silas works
It's
as
gone.
well. It
Nope.
gives you
Throw that rock away.
it gives you depth charge. It gives you Empress Divide. You've got a lot of things you can do with this Silas in this game, especially if Belfast Storm now pick even more impactful ults on 4-5 here. I would have loved to see Talia for the sole fact of you have Varus ult, you have Braum stun, you have so many easy ways to land the Seismic Shove and start this fight.
I was going to add on to that. It also locks out picking things like the Ornn here. You definitely don't want to lock in that. No, stop it. Okay. Because you already have the Braum, which is a nuisance for the Ornn ultimate. The Silas now negates that heavy engage potential. Right now, when I look at this Belfast comp, you've already got most of the tools to get you to the late game with that early game jungler picked up by Dunlossie. Now the question is, which kind of beefy frontliner are you feeling for today? It's gonna be a Sion. We'll look back over, moment to respond. Sheeta, we talked about it, start of the draft. Counter pick, really important for this player. Completely warps a draft. Right now, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of priority going to be generated in that mid lane, so it's going to be extremely important that Verzik can get push on both sides, and they're able to collapse and enable Strangler. Right. Ornn.
That's not what we want to see for Sheeta. That's...
We went through about 4 different emotions there. You could see all of our cameras had something different, and it was for very, very good reason. Let's go ahead and start again. Zika, like, we talked about it. Sheeta is such a good bully at points, and you grab the Ornn, and, I mean, you got engaged now, but, I mean, I know Ornn's the best all-arounder, but is this the right all-arounder to pick up here?
I actually think any bruiser would do Ornn's job better here. Something like Darius, right? You take Ghost, you run at Mark 5 at the enemy, you pull them all in, you're realistically not going to die super quickly, but hey, it happens.
I mean, I think looking at the Ornn, it gets the job done for the engage that this team needs essentially, but if Verzik are going to take this game and secure their road to start making their way to that 3rd place lock, they need to play around the spot lane and chain dive that Senna.
All right, well, let's see if the casters say the same, because I think they are very much ready to go and have their own thoughts about what's going to go down here. We got Brackish, Brit, as well as Shibby to cover this game, and then the one after. Let's go ahead and throw it over to them.
Word coming in from our satellite. Thank you, Orbital, for that, along with the rest of the desk. Cactus Brit here again, this time joined by Shibby. It's a pleasure to cast with you, my friend. I think this is the first time we've actually interacted on the Four Nations broadcast. And we've got a hell of an important game. Belfast Storm, this is not quite do or die yet, but very close.
Oh, don't worry, Brackish. I'll make sure your first time is a special one with me.
It might be new defender.
Oh, hello? Hello? Oh, can we hear? Are we
I can
good?
hear you now.
Are we
There
here?
we go.
Oh, we're here. Yeah, as I said, Brackish, I said I was going to make sure your first time's a special one with me. So don't worry, we'll guide on into this. But I'm excited for the team comps. I'm excited for the orange, specifically. The desk was banging and hammering away at it. I love it, right? You get the nice long-range engage onto the Senna, and then you've got Silas diving in, right? You've got the Varus, who's potentially might go on hit or might go into that more lethality build. You've got a lot of damage and a lot of dive coming in with the Silas, who can steal the Azir ult, who can steal potentially the Sion ult, has a lot of value here, and I'm excited for this Versic composition. I'm excited to see something different from them because Belfast banned away the set, banned away the Shana. They're challenging Versic to give them something new, but they still got that like double 80 carry flavor with them, right? Graves in the jungle, Varus in the bottom lane, so they're still kind of sticking to the guns a little bit.
And this is the carry duo that earned them that win over Lions Grid Academy on Monday. Obviously, we weren't able to actually see it live, but just from the stats, they speak for themselves. Strangler was monstrous. Soranjay on the Varus was also highest damage in the game by quite a margin. So, some very similar things, but as you say, slightly different flavor to it. They put some different spices in there. A little bit milder, perhaps, and I think that's what the desk was complaining about a little bit, because Shida as a player, as the desk was saying, is the person who is most known for bringing that little bit of chaos. He has saved games on that set. I remade the Verzik top laner meme because of Shida's set. I don't know if you were around, but prior to Shida, there was this guy called Lars. Lars was a Fiora one trick. Every game a team let Fiora through, Verzik won. Because Lars would just pick it, Goomba stomp his top lane, and split push or just straight up win. And with Shida coming in, we saw him pick the set. Game was looking a little bit rough. He comes in into a fight that looked completely lost, and then just went, I bet I'm going to kill 2 people, and I can't remember if they got the Baron off of it, but it's set up for the Verzik comeback. And so, Ornn, yeah, it's a little bit more tame, but that's not to say it can't have just as big of an impact on the game.
Yeah, I think, Shada, wonderful top laner, kind of works miracles, but I think the guy with the biggest brain and the guy that excites me the most on Versic is Strangler the jungler. This dude is just a monster, right? Insane pathing, very, very smart, knows where to be at the right place at the right time, and I just think he's so smart, right? Even in their week 4 win against Ruddy, where he played the Udyr jungle, he passes all the way bottom, dipped straight top to cover Shada, and got themselves a nice double kill. I think the person that's going to make the most impact, at least for me in the early game, and going to set the tempo for Versic is going to be Strangler on this Graves, and I've just been having a treat watching him play jungle.
Has been fantastic to see, as you say, Strangler looking like very, very strong, and back on his Graves, as we were saying, ready to put some more people into the slammer. I think that's right, Graves. I see there.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Hopefully it is. I don't approve of any other Graves skins. I'm just kidding. I think the pool party one is pretty good there, but yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, that's right, Graves.
Right, Graves. Yeah,
Good.
We're gonna see pretty standard 5-point, or kind of 5-point, but they're actually going to late invade with Dokai here. Unfortunately, they're not going to find Denlosi. He's going to start on the top side, but they're going to get some valuable information. Let's see if they end up actually splitting the map vertical jungle-wise. If that's so, that sets up Versic for those dives that Melvin Izzle was talking about onto Momo, onto potentially this Nautilus, right? Putting Senna back, putting them far behind, and keeping this Varus ahead is probably the way Versic's going to win this game.
And as you say, they are trying to set up the vertical map. We'll see if Belfast Storm are able to stop them from doing that. Strangler, of course, going to be able to clear quite a bit quicker than Dunlosi off the bat. But that being said, we see the Xin Zhao already walking into the topside jungle. So Belfast Storm, they actually don't seem too upset about it. And instead, they're going to accept the vertical jungle. Versic, they don't really mind though, because for once, this situation doesn't really mess with Shida because he's on the Ornn, who can play weak side until the end of time.
Yeah, it feels more like Belfast can't do anything about it, right? What do you chance a potential stack into this Versic composition if they try to late invade here? But yeah, this vertical jungle should set up Versic's bot lane to get a dive here as we get a little bit of a screen tearing. Although Limsey is pretty far pushed forward, we could see a 2v2 in the mid lane.
Right now, Strangler doesn't seem too concerned. In fact, he's just going to
he just wants to
take
farm.
advantage. Yeah, just keep chilling out. I mean, again, range versus melee matchup. Tycool's not going to have the very easiest time of it in this early lane. And so they're just like, that's fine. I'm just going to do Graves things. Graves is a farming jungler for the first 6 levels, realistically. Get to level 6 as quickly as possible. Build up a bit of a CS lead over Dunlosi. He is clearing faster, as I was saying before. And when he hits that, if he can hit that breakpoint with enough time, then he can show up to a fight where he's 6, Dunlosi is 5, and that just will completely flip the potential outcome of that fight.
Yeah, and I think Versic are more than happy to play that very patient game, right? In week 5 versus Venom Crest, they did the same thing. They ran a double AD composition. They had Brand in the jungle. Strangler was playing it. And they were just patiently biding their time, waiting for the right moments, had their double AD scaling, and they found the fight to win the game. Could be very similar fashion, right? You have Ornn in the top lane. You've obviously got the Varus and the Graves who pretty much like to farm up, get to their item breakpoints here, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Versic just keeps
Cheetah, though,
pretty low.
Feeling
Shin,
himself,
flash.
forces the flash right out from Shin as Timmer's going to step up. Strangler going to be able to put a good chunk of damage down. Dredge line. We'll get Timmer into the brush. Going to continue to be harassed with a little bit of buckshot, but the Titan is going to be tanky enough to weather that storm. Right now, Versic, they maintain a little bit of a freeze towards their tower, make it tough for Momo and Timmer to step up. Strangler, I was wondering if he might repeat gank. Instead, is going to take that reset, get a couple of long swords, continue, as I said, on the way to that level 6.
Yeah, he's going to probably go to his Krugs here, try to clear upwards if possible.
Should be.
Other than that, though, a patient game.
Should be. Look mid lane.
Yes?
Tell me what you see on that Azir.
Oh, the disease. The
It's
disease is
the
infested
Grasp Tech.
UKEL.
It's the Grasp Tech. I saw it on Tuesday as well in the NLC 2nd Division. And honestly, it did some work. In an Azir versus Akali matchup is the one I saw. It made it so, okay, Akali, well now you're going to deal with an Azir that has 300 more health. How are you doing that?
Well,
And the
yeah,
answer was they
also-
weren't.
Yeah, the thing is, it also allows him, as Strangler, he's going to find Shin in this jungle. Let's see if Sheeta will actually
Sion
come
has
and
no
help.
flash. There is no way out here. There's no level 6 for Shin. Tycool is coming up
Oh.
as well, and I think it's pretty well
get the
known. And Sion is going to drop here. This should be a nice, easy first blood handed across to Strangler. And that's a fantastic way to get this Graves rolling. Shin going to position himself so he can clear out some of this wave at the very least. And is also, importantly, delay it getting to the tower. Dunlosi coming through the mid lane right now, going to try and help Limsey get that push in so Tycool can't move. Could also leverage that into a bot Drake. And in the meantime, of course, we also saw Dunlosi pick up those grubs.
Yeah, do you want to circle back to that point you were talking about? That tank Azir, right? Or beefy Azir that we talked about. Can just stick into these fights a lot longer because he goes Leandries, then he'll go potentially into the Abyssal Mask, Frozen Heart if he feels like it, or another armor item, and then he starts going back into the more AP-centric build. And yeah, I think it's a disease, Brackish. This kind of Azir should just not be allowed completely. Like the amount of grass stacks you can get, especially into this melee matchup, like you mentioned. Sylas not too far off from the Akali matchup, just makes it that much harder to burst out in these longer extended fights where kind of Sylas will look to thrive with the Kingslayer and the passive and to really start healing. I mean, it's a smart move. I like the itemization and rune choice so far coming out from Limsey. That dragon ends up going down because
Never mind.
Belfast have that Belfast pass.
So,
Belfast lane.
I don't-
What happened top lane? What happened top lane?
So it may be an Ornn, but it's still Sheeta. You can take the you can take the Bruiser out of the top lane, but you can't take the Sheeta out of whatever is up there. Ornn picks up his own kill in the solo bolo department. Will get himself a little bit of recall off. Balmy Cinder, shock to nobody. will continue to play on out this game. So, yes, early objectives have gone Belfast's way, but the early kills and the early gold have gone Verzik's.
Yeah, and getting Graves on that early power spike, on that serrated Dirk. He's just going to come back
hey,
up to kill
Strangler.
Shin once again. No ultimate.
Well, he's already used the ultimate. He does not have the Relentless Onslaught. Will be able to clear out, of course, the wave very, very quickly. Fully charged Decimating Smash will do that to you. But no flash, no hope of escaping. Will get a grasp proc for his trouble, but you're not killing Strangler, and Shida can just land a knockup with the Silvering Charge. In fact, they're just going to bring Tycool across, make sure that this Silas is activated as well.
I love that, giving some kill gold over to everybody on the top side. Everybody gets a piece of Shin there. One
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, and they're going to accelerate that Silas to that Roa point here, and I like that. Just abuse the fact that Shin is flashless, doesn't have the ultimate. You're flying in the bottom lane. You're running Varus, Braum. You have no worries in the world. This Senna Nautilus shouldn't be able to punish you, and so Versik, we thought they were going to play to the bot side. We thought that they were going to like chain dive Momo potentially with that, you know, split in the jungle, that vertical jungle split, but instead have turned their attention towards Shin and have made the most out of it.
Yeah, 3 deaths already for the Scion, and the bot lane, Soren J, is just kind of chilling, looking towards this poke build, obviously with the Hail of Blades. Has a cull, is just going to get that extra gold. We do see this is the farming center, which means that soul-wise, you're going to be quite delayed on hitting those big breakpoints, most importantly that 100.
Yeah, you do get a little bit more gold income, so you can start firing away more powerful Qs into Versik, but Shin, once again, yeah, why not? Collapse on him. Get some more gold into your pockets.
He's got a flash this time, but, I mean, I suppose it means Belfast Storm, you know, they have some more time to do stuff. Strangler bringing Dokai to the play as well. What am I looking at, Shibby? This is... Like, has Shin just been watching too much Babas? Has he been watching the Bows too much?
I think so. I think he has the stream pulled up.
Soren,
right now,
gotta be careful though. There's the cross map from Belfast Storm. Flash healed, already been used by Soren J. Momo will pick that one up. Dokai makes his way back towards the bottom lane, not quite able to find Momo though. Limsey gonna send him flying back in. Strangler is gonna be able to take down the double kill as the Dawning Shadows will be traded back and forth. Shida looking to get the knockups. The blast code will get Limsey and Momo to safety. Belfast, they strike back, but the response from Versik is quick, it is clean, it is clinical.
Yeah, big TP from Shada to get that Ornn ultimate down, but we see Shin have a little bit of alone time with that top lane turret. I know he's got demolished there. I believe 3 plates have fallen, all while Versik were handling that bot lane skirmish, that bot lane dive onto Soren J. Yeah, wow, Shin getting a lot of plating for himself, and despite giving up 3 kills, is pretty even on the tank line. Probably going to get the Sunfire Cape and is even with Shada.
Speaking of, Shada makes his way back to the top lane. His own TP, of course, down from that bottom lane play. We're looking 50 seconds time right now, Shibby. Next Drake going to spawn. Alpha Storm, however, just before that, second set of Grubbies onto the map, and Strangler is in no position to contest, so it will be a full 6 buff. All the Kevins in Belfast pocket.
Oh, this is priming Shin up for a very, very Babas game, right?
Did we see the whole
6 grubs? Yeah, 6 grubs. There's potentially a Rift Herald on the map in a couple minutes here for Belfast if they want to kind of over-index on that. The Dragon coming up in about 15 seconds should be Versix, as they will kind of get into here as the resets come out from Belfast. And yeah, 6 grubs is nothing to play with. You cannot leave Shin alone in a side lane now, right? If you are going to try to cross map him, if you are going to overload that top side to get a kill, as he already gets tier 1 turret for his team, even with Shada there, you have to be cognizant of where Shin is and what he's doing, because if you leave him in that side lane, you might just lose your tier 3.
And you might. Shin actually making his way towards the mid lane right now. Does not have the Relentless Onslaught, but will be able to try and push down for the Hammer and Anvil. Unfortunately, Versik able to secure the objective, able to abscond before Belfast Storm are really able to respawn. As we go on to the Mountain Rift, we're going to have some very tanky tanks in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle. And also Soren J, he's building lethality, right, with Strangler. I really don't know who's going to be able to kill Limsey and Shin, right? As a bot lane skirmish happens.
Dokai jumps forwards. Chain of Corruption will land onto Momo. Strangler trying to go forwards as well. Has to get away from Dunlosi and Timur, but Dunlosi unable to get away. And the follow-up is now here. Double kill for... Well, oh yeah, Soren J. Why did my brain just quantified that the Varus was not there? He very much was there, and he picked up a double kill.
Yeah, he got 2. And he doesn't have to worry about killing Limsey or Shin if all the fighting's happening in that bot lane. But, Brackish, there is a timer going on for Verzik, right? You mentioned the Mountain Dragons, the tank build coming out from Shin, the tank build coming out from Limsey. And I feel like this lethality over index could end up proving very, very detrimental if we get into the 30, 35-minute mark, right? Yeah, Cerullas will help you a little bit to punch through that armor. But Shin's just going to walk through you. He's going to run into your backline, take no damage, and you're going to have to deal with Limsey scooping you, Momo hitting you from 1,000 miles away once she ends up getting those 100 stacks on the Senna. Like, if this game goes late enough, Belfast could look for a very, very good opportunity in these fights. I know Verzik has the Ornn, but I just feel like there's no punch into this Sion.
I agree. I entirely agree. They need to find some way of really dealing with this front line coming out from Belfast Storm. As you say, there is this inevitability. The Sion is going to keep on getting more and more and more health through items, through his passive. And this lethality is not going to have the same punch as a full-on hit Varus would. Right now, though, worth pointing out as well, if you look solely at the kills, you're like, oh, this game is so done. Verzik is 7-1, right? There's only 300 gold in it. All of the objectives thus far in the game have gone to Belfast Storm.
I mean, Shin has been a big benefactor, right? Picking up full plate gold for himself, all 5, got the first turret for his team. As much as he's been, dying in that top side, he's also just been getting and hoarding a lot of gold for himself and getting some for his team, right? He's also been having that pressure in the top side, allowing Belfast to pick up the grubs. And although we don't see a play towards this Rift Herald, we should see something soon as Dunlosi is pathing towards that top side here. And I wonder if Verzik's willing to kind of contest him on this Herald, because I feel like if Shin gets a hold of it or Dunlosi gets a hold of it, it could crack open a tier 2 easily in the side lane. And that's another, 700 gold into the pockets of whoever picks up that side lane turret?
Oh, no doubt. And we see Shida trying to make a roam down, did get spotted, I believe, on the ward placed on the Rift Herald by Shin just a moment ago. And now Shida has to go right on back to top lane because there's a wave crashing on his tier 2 turret. And despite this early kill advantage, Verzik have been able to build for themselves. Chain of Corruption going to find its way onto Momo. The TP is used in response. The root going to do a heck of a lot as Shin comes in. Will be able to land the damage. And the explosion of the Soul Furnace will pick it up. Momo doesn't even drop. And this tower is banged to rights. Across the map, though, Verzik will get Shelly. So that terror scenario we were just talking about, not quite going to come to pass.
Yeah, but they can push for tier 2 in this bot side. They know that at least 2 members are on this Herald. That TP saves Momo. They get the kill onto Soren J. And they're going to get a little bit more. Asheda is actually going to end up coming down to this bot side here, matching Sion, but not able to match the pressure that he's putting. Shin, everywhere, all at once. Quite literally. He's pushing your top side turret. He's now in the bottom lane. He's just everywhere. I mean...
I like how I joke about the Baus, like just a moment ago, a few minutes ago. Dunlosi jumping forwards onto Shada and Dokai, the tankiest members of the team, and of course, that Braum not quite got there in terms of sustainability, and that will be a nice and easy kill secured. More vision being put down. Next Drake spawning in 20 seconds time, of course. Belfast Storm, if they can pick up 3 Mountain Drakes, that would be a very, very nasty proposition.
Yeah, I don't think Verzik can look to fight this. Their vision line is nowhere near where it needs to be to check into Belfast, especially checking into Nautilus, into Sion. You could get knocked up for 20 seconds and not ever see the light of day here. They just have to give it. They have to farm some side lanes, and realistically, yeah, you do have Ornn scaling. Look, they're just face checking in.
They are face checking in. Shader and Dokai again are the ones taking most of the damage though. Call the Forge God comes through but is interrupted by the last embrace out of Momo. Limsey gets thrown away by the stolen Emperor's Divide. Sorenjay pushing forwards though. These tanks aren't doing enough damage right now. Shin is stood in the middle of the entire team and Verzik do not care, Shibby. Tycool is now chasing down Limsey. Momo and Timur there to try and save him. Strangler coming over the wall, detonates the Azir as Strangler going off, looking to strangle the Storm, turn it to silence as the Devils break through. They will get their second Drake of their game and they will get Nile on an ace.
Verzik just casually walking into here. I think the big thing in that fight was Limsey was just not allowed to participate. We saw Tycool just 1v1 Limsey all throughout the side, like the whiffed ultimates, and so it was a 4v4. Shada didn't even land the ultimate, but Strangler somehow, some way, was just getting damage after damage after damage off, and Momo and Timur are nowhere near the point where they can start whittling down some of these health bars. They're just not strong enough. You've got a big tank line, but you don't have the firepower, you don't have the bullets to really punch through this Verzik composition just yet.
It feels like Strangler's firing pure slugs right now. He's already got the last Whisper in pocket as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go towards Cyrilda's this game either. He could just pick up a Lord Dominic's. He's not built any health himself, maxing out that damage when playing at that super close range, which we've seen time and again he just loves to do when he's got Dokai, when he's got Shida by his side. Shida.
Yeah, and LDR would be so good, right? Because the health stacking from both Limsey and Shin would give you that bonus damage, like you mentioned, from maxing out that LDR passive here. Belfast thought they could take the fight. I think that was a reality check for them, right? They were just like, wait a minute, we're not doing any damage at all either. We have a big tanky Scion, but we don't have any way to deal with this front line that is Shada, that is Dokai, who can block a lot of the autos. You just have Sorenjay poking you from the back and Strangler up in your face. It's hard to prioritize. I think the big thing is, though, Limsey needed to get a big scoop there and couldn't because Tycool was just 1v1ing him off to the side of River. Very nice fight from Verzik to take that. I really thought that they could not face check that. They did, and they ended up getting themselves a nice 1,500 gold lead here. The next big objective is that Baron, although I don't think any of these teams are going to try it just yet. They might just vie for vision against each other and look for one of these side lane picks.
As you say, neither of these teams has the quickest of Barons.
No.
I do want to try and zoom in, though. Can we get a center check production, please? Obviously, Momo has gone for the farming center this game, which means that is naturally going to affect the stacks gained. I want to see how many souls Momo is set on right now. Because around the 20-minute mark...
Oh!
I want to say, yeah, 50-ish was roughly going to be my guess. Around this point, if you were going for the fasting center, I would expect to be 70+. But that is what happens. You have the much lower soul generation. You are trading that for the extra gold.
Yeah, I do want to see Momo also just kind of, when they're not doing anything, just run around with Dunlosi in the jungle, right? Pick up a couple extra souls here, right? Anything helps at that point, and I think if they can kind of maximize that a little bit. Like right now, he took the back, he took the reset. Could have probably gone to Gromp, could have gone to Wolves, picked up another 3-4 souls here. But I guess they must value the tempo and the item back. As the LDR plus Youmuu's has been picked up for Momo. Do you think this is enough to punch through Shada though? Like, they were lacking on the damage as the Rift Herald does get dropped into that mid lane, takes tier 1.
I'll have to wait and see. The damage is not all that promising as Shin forced to use the Unstoppable Onslaught to get away from Shada as the Goon Squad was roaming down. And yeah, no, I agree. We are living in the worst timeline when I just saw Limsey finish Frozen Heart.
Yeah,
Make it stop.
Interesting to see.
I'm okay with
picks
Grass,
up the
just don't
Abyssal
build
Mask.
tank.
Oh, he's gonna go full tank, right? Limsey might look to stack. I would go Abyssal Mask, even if it is just for Tycool there, lowering the MR, right? Getting that kind of passive going off onto the rest of the team will allow Limsey to punch through some of these guys a little bit more. Considering you need all the help you can get because you're going that tank Azir, getting that little extra MR shred could be the difference maker.
Surely this exacerbates the damage issue that we have been seeing from Belfast Storm in these fights. They are not seemingly, right now at least, have the damage to punch back at Verzik. So yeah, Shin's tanky. He lasts a while in a fight, but he's not actually a threat yet.
Brackish, we might end up seeing a 45-second team fight. With how tanky the members are on your team.
Possibly. I'm going to start some breathing exercises now.
Yeah, I would say get your water ready, get a ventilator, whatever you need. We might end up seeing a quite long team fight coming out from both of these teams, or it may just end up being Shada and Shin last man standing, slapping each other in this wet noodle fight. But nothing much has happened since that dragon. Both teams more than content on farming, ping-ponging waves back and forth. You've got Ornn on one side, you've got Senna on the other, you've got Azir as well. Scaling is the name of the game for a lot of these teams. Timur might be caught out. Nah, he's fine. It's Nautilus. He's
Looked
fine.
like it for a second. Verzik, of course, looking to get down into the river, pick up what would be soul point for them, and of course, another mountain soul that would be denied away from Belfast Storm, as we see ornaments starting to come through on the rift. Shin has found the play, looking to get onto Strangler here. The sweep up comes through. Look at the Graves. He's dropping low, gets locked up. All of the CC in the world onto the Graves. He eventually drops. Tycho now coming in. The counter sweep finds two. Shin again trying to do the damage, but he is being sidestepped left and right. The Scion again not able to do enough. Momo's over the wall, unable to hit. The range is just not long enough, as down will drop Timur, and Momo finds himself so very alone. The zombie Scion is all that is left to commemorate the Belfast Storm. 4 members of Verzik survived. They're down their jungler. They can't take the Baron, but they can get that soul point.
It looked so good for Belfast until Tycool came in with the stolen Azir ultimate, and that's a full AP, Silas. So that's Azir ultimate's gonna chunk you for a lot. Catches
Probably
3
double.
members of Belfast Storm here, and just Momo. I saw Momo rifle away auto after auto after auto after auto. And I don't think I saw anybody die from Verzik. Just not there at that damage break point. And by the time the fight was there, by the time she could get back into position, the Senna got jumped on by everybody on Verzik's side. I feel like Soren J is just better equipped on this Varus to carry some of these fights. Despite it being a lethality Varus, you've still got the Blight stats, you've still got those percent health damage abilities to chunk through Shin, to chunk through Limsey, and that is the difference maker.
Strangler needs to be a little bit careful here. Timur steps up. Gonna menace a little bit, but not able to provide a true threat right now. 4 minutes until the next Drake Baron is got to be in the eyes of both of these teams. Verzik have already built up for themselves about a 4K advantage. But I want to highlight it again, Shibby. 17 kills to 5 is only converting to a 3 to 4K gold lead. So you can see how much pressure the early objective pickups by Belfast Storm have been influencing this game.
Yeah, I mean, despite them having, like you said, a massive kill lead, only a couple thousand gold separates them, and that's just because Shin and Limsey have just been farming so much, right? Plates, as we talked about early on, but also solo gold into the turrets. You look at the CS as well. Like, Strangler's doing a good job. He's staying ahead of Dunlosi, but Limsey and Shin are just content on farming on these side lanes, ping-ponging it back and forth, and that's what's kind of keeping them back into this game here. Although, I don't know how many more team fights Belfast can afford to lose, right? A next one could just be the Baron. And at that point, does Belfast feel like they can fight? Do they need to hit to these 3-item power spikes, potentially 4 for Momo before they can realistically start putting damage into Verzik's team composition? It's looking rough because 2 fights in a row, I thought it looked good for them, right? The face check into the Scion and then the hook coming out from Timur while Tycho was super far behind in late TP. Both of those fights, Verzik were able to swing it off the back, I would say, of Tycho, Soren J, and Strangler.
We're talking about 3-item power spikes. Strangler has hit it. He has got the LDR now completed alongside the Gomus and the Collector. Belfast Storm perhaps feeling the pressure a little bit here. They realize Strangler's not here. They're going to put some damage down onto the Baron, but it's going down so very slowly. Verzik, I don't think they necessarily feel the fear at all, but Losi is already dropping very, very low. An arrow comes across Strangler, gonna drop the collateral damage, and now Verzik, they feel confident. They're gonna look to step forwards. Dunlosi has to get away. Shin has the TP, as does Shida. But now Verzik, they know that this Xin Zhao cannot step in, or at least can't do so healthily. And so they're going to start to knock this one down. Baron dropping below 1,000 health. It is picked up by Verzik. The TPs still haven't been used as these tanks are fighting in the bot lane. And without this Scion, Belfast look just so very impotent in these fights. Cool flashes inwards. Will take out Dunlosi. Limsey trying to make some space, but all it is space for Momo to run away. Shin is able to keep fighting with Cheetah. That is his only prize, as neither of them are going to go down. And this Scion may be huge, but he's being locked out of having his usefulness in these fights.
Yeah, and Tycho will TP to that bot side, so the turret is saved as well. Shin doesn't get that. It got canceled. Somehow, some way, Shada canceled the TP as we see a chase.
Tycho trying to do some initial D there. Not able to chase down Shin with the stolen unstoppable onslaught. But Verzik, a minute now until the next Drake comes up. They have the Baron in pocket and the stats that come therein. And the Verzik train keeps on rolling. They had a rough start to this split, Shibby. But they bring in Shida. They start on the upswing. And this graph, the Verzik stonks seem to be going sky high.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's just really been kind of, like you said, off the back of Shada, but also Strangler. I cannot praise this guy enough, as the rest of this team, this might be a desperation from Belfast, because right now they are so far behind. Shin can't get any value as this tanky Scion. Momo's not able to punch through anybody. Limsey on this tank Azir just isn't hitting enough.
Though, being caught across to the side, being swept back in, all of the damage dropping down. He still isn't dropping though. Finally, Limsey's able to take it down, but the trade back, at what cost, Shibby? Shin is the only one left standing beneath the Azir turret that won't last much longer either, forced to flash away as Verzik continue to push down the mid lane with the Baron empowered minions. They've got an inhibitor in their sights and a Mountain Soul to claim afterwards.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to take this A-okay. They're probably gonna do it very cleanly, right? Dot their I's, cross their T's. They're gonna take the mid lane inhibitor turret, like you mentioned. Dragon's gonna be up for them, or they might just fancy themselves a game end here. They just want to go for more.
Spawn timers are quite short. Limsey, Momo coming up in 5 seconds, but the first inhibitor turret is already down. Shin is trying to stop them, but this Scion is utterly powerless as the Verzik train continues to roll. They take another win, and Belfast Storm slip ever close to relegation.
Verzik, we're saying, you know what? We want to end it now. It's late. I gotta go to bed.
I'm done with this.
And they just left it right in the front door of Belfast Storm. Really, really well played. I had my hesitations on the damage profile. What can you do to punch through Shin? Brackish, it doesn't matter. You don't need to kill Shin. You just need to kill the rest of his team.
Yeah. It's like, okay, there's 3,000 hit points of, well, let's say 5,000 hit points of Scion here. There's about 5,000 hit points of the rest of his team that we can take out first, and then he becomes just a very ineffectual slab of meat. And Verzik, when do the doubters become silenced?
Oh, I was a believer after the week 4.
When does everybody believe? Because, I don't know, this team already knocked down Lions Creed Academy. The Cabbage Creed lost to this team. They knocked down Belfast Storm as well. And Verzik also have a really easy strength of schedule coming forwards. I'll leave the desk to explain that one. But if the maths that I've been told are correct, Verzik could end up 3rd if everything goes their way. Do you believe?
I've been a believer. I've been a believer since week 4. I love Strangle. I love this Verzik squad. They're hot. They're running hot. They're on fire right now. They're like a jet engine, and I'm a believer, Brackish. I'm a believer.
Are you a believer, Orbital? As I'm going to throw it back to the desk.
Oh, it cut off there, but I do believe there is a Halo in the back somewhere I'm watching. I don't know. It was against our expectations. Melvin Izzle, Zika, we all sat here on the desk and we sat there looking at the composition out of Verzik, and we had question marks. Those question marks were littered across the entirety of the mid to late, And it feels like Versik said, screw that, we are going to go in on the early game and mid, and we are going to win. Zika, I'm going to throw it to you first because we have a replay that kind of caught us off guard, I think. This is at, I believe, 9.5 minutes into the game or so.
Yep, so this was the first real team fight that we saw, I want to say. This replay was definitely something to be amused by if we get into it. We've just seen 3 people rotate top to try and punish Shin. It hasn't quite gone their way, and they set up a dive onto Soren J beautifully. You can see Dunlosi walking in from the side here now. Timur playing to zone. Senna getting 3 plates. The flash comes through from Timur, and Soren J is kind of just pushed back against a wall. Does inevitably fall, but now you've got Dokai, Strangler, Shida, and Tycool all here through the likes of TPs. And this is where the game really starts to go Verzik's way, because double kill for Strangler. This Graves now finally on the board. I believe Timur and Limsey both end up escaping with their lives, but you've got this Graves on the board, and that's really the big thing that we're looking at, is Strangler found an early lead. We were expecting it to come from bot dives. We were not, however, expecting it to come from
the other way.
Sion proxy strats into, you know, a counter dive bot side. So that was where the ball started rolling, but it didn't stop from there.
Yeah.
Nope.
And off the back of that one, it looked like Belfast had a really solid concept of how they wanted to play the early game. Using that Sion proxy pressures, they secured a lot of early objectives. They had 6 Void Grubs to their name. They got the first dragon. It looked really promising, but like you said, this is the play where it started to fall apart. And for me, it just kept going that direction. When I look at this comp for Belfast, they had the scaling. It was just a matter of let the game drift into your hands as it went on. I believe we have a second replay to take a look at that really just exemplifies the pressure that Belfast were under throughout this entire game.
Okay. Yeah, this was a moment that I myself, I think, was very, very excited for. There we go. Now we're snapping. This was the moment where I believe I said we see the stark differences in what happened in the early game kind of coalesce into danger. And take a look at where Tycool came in from. That shove right there into everyone pretty much surviving afterwards outside of Strangler. Just our early expectations for this team were blown away. And I was wholly impressed. At the same time, Belfast, it just highlighted Momo's unfortunate situation on this Senna.
And this comp for Belfast severely lacked damage as it went on. With Limsey having this tank Azir build, we saw multiple instances where the execution looked promising at the start, but if you don't have the damage to tear through the rest of the enemy team, there were just more damage dealers for Verzik. And it really did just jot up down to that in a lot of these fights. We saw the same story multiple times. Belfast trying super hard to force a play, get a single pick. Most of the time they would get that single pick, but at that point they're trading 1 for 3, for 4, whatever. And I think that we're starting to really, if we take a step back from the game and look at how this affects the standings, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of how Belfast are. They aren't in control of their own destiny. They need to win 2 of these games because DMG have the head-to-head against them if they want to be making it out of that relegation spot at the bottom.
Oh man, there's so much to think about here, and I'm sure that the players themselves are thinking about it because we're set. I think we're getting set up for our final match of the day. So Zika, Melvin, Izzle, I want to ask, moving into the next, because we just saw Belfast Storm and Versik, on a scale of 0 to 10, how excited are you? I think we also have a bit more information, but on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm curious, how excited are you for the next matchup after seeing this one with our lower standing groups? Do we expect to see like a banger, a 9 out of 10 or something between Nuclear and VNC, or do we expect something a little bit more expected, maybe a 4 out of 10 in that, you know, more level idealization of what's going to come out? We'll start with Zika.
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 8.
Oh, optimistic and goes for 2nd from 10? Like, that is more than optimistic, right?
I'm going to be an optimist too, and I'm going to say upper 3s. I think that if we're if we temper the optimism with a bit of realism right now, next game we're looking at a team that is still contesting for a top spot, the top spot, against the team that, with one more loss, is guaranteed relegations. Somehow, it's physically possible, with that loss by Belfast, for Nuclear to still make it out of relegation. It needs to be the God scenario for them. They have to watch Belfast lose their games. DMG have to lose all their games, which, you know, is going to be difficult for both sides. And, most importantly, Nuclear Vikings need to beat Venom Crest today, Verzik next week, and then they need to beat DMG themselves. Now, I don't know about you two, but that doesn't seem like the most reasonable task to ask of a team that won their sole game as the first of the split.
Hey. I believe in Lawai and Co, okay? Lawai is back. I think that might be the difference maker. At least I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that it's not even cautiously optimistic. I'm throwing caution to the wind at this point. I'm going to be optimistic that it's the difference maker. I like this Nuclear Vikings lineup, and I would like to see them do well in the last 3 games of the split. Do I think they're like to make it at relegations? I think it's a hard road. I don't know if it's likely. I'd like to see it, but it's not likely. But I do believe they can at least throw in a couple of upsets here and there. And I think today is going to be the biggest upset they can possibly throw.
I really like the fact that we had an 8 out of 10 and a 3 out of 10. Both of you explained exactly why. Both make a lot of sense. Just one's a realist and one's an optimist. I love that identification that right now Nuclear, we have to be real about it. It's so true. Their road into playoffs is highly improbable. But I come from NA. I've seen the improbable happen, so maybe we bring it about. Right now, we are going to let the teams get ready to go, so we'll go to a very short break, I believe, to go ahead and get things rolling. If not, you'll see us back in less than about 5 minutes. So please, do not go anywhere. The UKEL4 Nations broadcast will continue in just a bit. different. Right now, Venom Crest looking to lock in one of the top placements heading into playoffs after one more week of games. And Nuclear, I mean, listen, they got the steepest of mountains to climb, but we got to talk about these teams, right? Melvin Izzle, you said it. We got to be realistic here, and Venom Crest here are looking strong.
As far as league implications go, Venom Crest are the team for my heart. I said very early on that this team excited me. I thought they could be looking to be a top runner in the league. They are. Guarantee bare minimum 4th place, but with that loss from Lions Creed previous game, this roster could be shooting for a very reasonable 2nd. In a complete perfect scenario, they can physically grab first. But for this game, I think that this is really just going to be, or should is always the essential word, a walk for them. If you don't win this game, there's no hope for getting further than 3rd. And I'll be honest, I don't see the angle for Nuclear Vikings.
Well, yeah, but they have one thing that I think Zika mentioned that can get them out of this. It is called uniqueness in more ways than one. Zika, run us through this squad and what is so unique about them?
So, Nuclear Vikings, if we take a look at their roster very quickly, it's a roster we've seen time and time again. It's the roster they've had since week 1, day 2. They did have a sub in week 1, day 1, so their only win of the split was with the sub top laner. Interesting fact. But we're looking at Dusty. I've tried to do this off memory now. It's Dusty, Fruity Carrots, Kiana, Brody, and Lawai, because Lawai is now back after taking a break due to carpal tunnel syndrome. Is much better, is back playing with us. We've missed you. We're glad to have you back. It's going to be very interesting to see, but Nuclear Vikings are a very unique team. They don't tend to play the more standard, we're going to take a control mage, we're going to take a tank, we're going to take a carry, and we see the roster in front of us now.
There we go.
Heike has a very different approach with this team. You have a standard bot lane. I mean, Brody is very good at things like the Zeri, very good at things like the Varus, the Ashe, the Caitlyn. Your standard AD carries, you're like, I'm going to sit here and scale for X amount of time. Fruity Carrots are very good at these playmaking junglers. The Lee Sin is something we talked about at the start of the split. We had a VT of Fruity Carrots doing absolutely monster plays on this champion, but also plays very good on champions like the Rel, the Maokai, the Sejuani. Playmaking is the name of the game for this jungler. Lawai, standard engage. Dusty, usually a tank or a bruiser of some description. We've seen things like the Camille, we've seen the Orns, we've seen all sorts of different things under the sun. But Kiana is the player I want to focus on because she is very different to the rest of the mid laners in this league. Kiana plays a lot of things like the Zoe, the Zyra, the Talia, the less common control mages, more poke mages, more I'm just going to kind of exist to annoy you type champions, and she does it very, very effectively. Most recent memory is the Zyra. The Zyra was very, very good last I saw it. It was controlling areas with that ultimate. It was making the life of the carries a pain because these plants do not stop hitting you. And you don't necessarily need Zarzak's, the support item, to be doing this massive amount of damage because Liandry's Riftmaker exists and still hasn't been nerfed. And it's these kind of dot champions that really make use of that. So I think that might be where Nuclear Vikings have struggled throughout the split, is they've not had the traditional style, but they've not quite been able to tweak it to a point where they can really turn it up to 11. If they have managed to find that, I think it's going to be a whole different beast today up against Venom Crest, because Venom Crest are very standard in how they play. I love this roster, don't get me wrong. Kenji, amazing player. Refrubi, amazing player. Roskilde has had some amazing moments as well. And then you got Bartholdi and Fastleg who have maintained from last split and were also dominant there as well. But they are very standard. Outside of Kenji, maybe picking the Yone here and there, it's a very what you would expect as a normal competitive draft. If you can blindside this team and really start to put the boot in, you can really start to find a ladder to climb.
I like it. I like it. Melvin Izzle, it looked like you had quite a bit to say in there, so let's go ahead and throw it back to you right now. What do you got to say to that analysis there?
I need to know one hell of a shoe size after that one, because they're going to need quite the hefty pair of boots to climb this mountain. 1 and 10, very important. Nuclear Vikings. I said it before the break, but in the God scenario, they can make it to the actual they will make the single elim part of playoffs if they win every single game and the two teams they're directly competing against lose every single game. We're in the draft now. We see a lot of the OPs already taken away. The Karmagon, the Maokai-Gon, Twisted Fate, Show Me a Varus. Let's see what's going to happen. What does Nuclear Vikings have in the pocket? Maybe something like that Smolder mid again, let's see, to really spice up the draft.
Oh, well, there's your standard, right? Venom Crest, I mean, we left it open. And look at that. Zika, the absolute lovely second ban there. It is the Taliyah. Yo, we heard it on the desk one too many times. We got to ban it away, but it does give a lot of credit to what Venom Crest are going to run. You can already see kind of their play style. Anytime you see a Poppy or a Taliyah, I think automatically signals they're going to go in one way or another. Now, the Ashe on the other side, we saw Spark do some amazing things last time, I think back in our first game of the day, but it needed a lot more help. The Ahri, now for possibly Qiyana in that mid lane, it is locked in.
I don't like it this early.
I don't feel spicy right now. I don't know about you.
No, I don't. And I don't like it being locked in this early. But I have faith. Qiyana, they know what they're doing. Hopefully she can pilot this champion to success. We'll see. If there's one thing Vikings are, it's determined. We know that from their journeys trying to conquer most of the world.
Pulling out the knowledge check. Let's go. I like it. Pull that knowledge check out of the hat.
Ooh.
It's understandable, but still, Venom Crest are lining up this solid frontline style. Come on, do the Vygar for me. I literally have Vygar above my head. I just got that. Come on.
Oh.
Yes. No. Not yes. Yeah. No. Yes. No. That's Silas. That's not what I want. All right. I'm done. I'm done. I know. It's kind of there. It's Silas.
That's more reasonable. I mean, you show Ashe, you show Ahri. I mean, those are some cracking ultimates to take away from the pair of them at this point. And what we currently see from Nuclear Vikings, starting to put together pick tools, but at the end of the day, you need to actually get to a point where you're doing that. AD jungler, something I'd like to see here. Maybe you opt for actually just getting the support here blind and then banning out counters. What approach are they going to go with?
I like that. That's a very, very good champion to pick. I'm not biased at all, I swear. No, I think Rakan is one of the strongest supports in the game at the moment. Can do so much for so little punishment, especially if piloted well. There's no really easy to land CC on this champion once he's dashed in, because he's immediately gone again. You maybe get slammed by the Volibear, which is a champion I want to touch on here in a second as well, but you're relatively safe. You can follow an Ahri, you can keep an Ashe peeled. It's very good. Take away the big things that kind of make his life hell. Take away the Braum, take away the Nautilus, you have a pretty free time in lane. If they pick Janna, they're inting their draft away, so hey-ho. We're not on most recent patch, are we? We are a patch behind.
We are. I saw somebody building Terminus the most recent way, so...
In which case, this Volibear champion's kind of broken.
He's unstoppable, by the way. Not sure if you're aware. Now having a lower ultimate cooldown and being unstoppable when they go in faster with the Q, running very fast. I mean, it's not exactly that kind of Flash Bear Slap, but it does get the job done with actually it being a Milio band away. I like that when you've stacked up so much hefty CC. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Lee Sin-esque champion come out here. I don't know about that one necessarily. We'll see what's cooking, but when you have so much mobility between mid and support, stop it. No, this is cope. This is beyond cope right now. They would have to be like top.
Okay, there.
Okay, fine. More engaged.
I've coped before. It's great.
This is the Fruity Carrots Pantheon jungle.
Oh, okay. Break us into this. This is now leaning into heavy pick potential. I mean, Zika, does this line up with what you were wanting?
Not quite so much what I was expecting, but it is a very good comp. You have a lot of things that can play off of each other, and you can still play teamfights relatively effectively because you have this Rakan, so you have a massive group kind of CC chain going. Even if the rest of the team can only really catch one person, you do have a way to tear that apart. Matched by the Lux, that's going to make the lane a pain because it's just a poke lane. But Fruity Carrots, this Pantheon is something that I didn't mention, but is something that they have played a good bit of. And it's something that I think we've seen them play once over the split. Didn't have the most success with it, but is very, very good at it. So I'll be interested to see if they can really push the power of this champion towards this Ahri because if you can unlock this Ahri and you can move the map as a duo, it's going to get so hard for Venom Crest Serpents to play the game. However, that's Renekton Volley. That's a deadly combo. You need to pick something safe here.
A lot of great point-and-click CC to facilitate that Lux and the Varus combo later on. I mean, even to give the Silas potential to steal that Ashe ult and then just land it on top of them. It's going to be very important to see what we get from here. You don't like Nah. I see head and hands, disappointment, absolute shambles, because that doesn't exactly facilitate the go in and pick. But what I will say, looking at this game, though, it is the opposite of the last one. Everybody, even the top laners, are made of absolute paper. People are going to die so fast in these fights. And when it comes down to that, it's really just about who initiates faster. I think that Nuclear Vikings have narrowly got a faster team, but both have so much insta-CC that it really is just going to collapse based on who trips up first.
Yeah, this is going to be maybe a little bit dangerous, but I got to ask because we want to throw it to our casters ASAP because they also want their piece to say. We had our predictions of the expectations of this match. It was 3 out of 10 for you, Melvin Izzle. It was 8 out of 10 for you, Zika. Are we still there, Zika? Are we still at the 8 out of 10, or are you now dropping a little bit lower? What are we thinking?
Freebie has Ignite, Roskilde has a Gnar ult to steal. There's teamfight and pick potential for Nuclear Vikings. I'm staying at an 8.
All right, Melvin Izzle.
I like fireworks, and this game definitely looks like it's going to have some shooting stars, so I will bump myself up to a 5.
All right, there we go. You know, maybe it might not go in the way we think. Maybe we do actually see Nuclear be able to go nuclear and take a victory off of one of the top seeded members. But for right now, we are going to watch from the sidelines as we're going to throw it over to Brackish, Britt, as well as Shibby to cover this game.
Thank you, Orbital. And speaking of Orbital, we'll see if Fruity Carrots on his Pantheon can reach the stars. He's got a composition that looks well set up to support him, Shibby, but on the other side, there's a mountain to climb. There's Nuclear Vikings. If they lose this game, if they lose any of their remaining games, they're locked into relegations.
Venom Crest have a lot of beefy boys on their team, right? The Volley Bear, the Renekton, hell, even the Silas with the Roa build can get real chunky, and it's going to be rough, right? Fruity has to get the action going early. He's got to hit these ultimates. Functionally kind of the same as like a Nocturne, right? Your first 2 ultimates are probably your most important because realistically, you'll only be able to get 2 to 3 off prior to the laning phase ending, right? 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
So I want to see where Fruity's gonna designate these ultimates, right? You've got a really nice bot lane with the Ashe Rakan. You can set up a big CC chain, and a Freebie didn't take cleanse, just feeling a little cocky here. So I think that's a lane that you can really look to hyper index on, overload that bottom side with Fruity, with this Ashe Rakan combo, and just look to bully a Freebie out here as we do get on to Summoner's Rift.
As you say, we jump onto the Rift, and you can already see this aggression coming from the Venom Crest bot lane. Fastlight not opting to start with the support item, starts with the Doran's Ring, wants that extra mana, that extra ability power in pocket, ready to be there on deck if something goes down. Venom Crest expecting some shenanigans perhaps. Luawai looks like he wants to go over the wall with the grand entrance. Will spot in. I don't believe that volley was spotted out by Venom Crest. But they do choose to pull back, Nuclear Vikings. They don't want to overcommit, risk anything too much in those early seconds. Instead, Luawai just puts that ward down. It will be able to spot out Venom Crest since there is no sweeper for them just yet. And all things will stay pretty darn standard.
Yeah, that little bit of vision should give Nuclear Vikings that extra bit of information to understand where Bartholdi is starting. He could do some interesting pathing, right? Path around, maybe start his Raptors, go to Krugs, and then delay his red. But even if they know he's not on there, then they can do that by process of elimination. And I lied.
By subtracting the jungler. By subtracting from where he is not, Nuclear Vikings can figure out where the jungler is.
Exactly. And a Freebie ended up swapping over from Ignite to Cleanse here. Smartly so. It's an Ashe. It's a Rakan. Like, you need that Cleanse as a charm on Kiana as well. Like, I was like, okay, there he's going to Ignite. Is he feeling a little cocky? But he ends up going for that Cleanse anyways. Still a good lane to gank regardless, right? throwing that Pantheon ultimate down. You can only cleanse one stun here. You've still got to deal with the charm, potentially Pantheon W here. But Nuclear, I want to see if he'll end up trying to invade potentially, but we see Bartholdi. He went Raptors and then just ran, it looks like straight into Nuclear Vikings jungle.
Most importantly, Nuclear Vikings have no way of knowing this is happening because Afribi and Fastlight have turbo shoved the wave under Brody and Lauai's turret. Which means now the level 2's coming through. The engage trying to be found though. Brody exhausted up, gonna need to flash away here. The ignite going there on Afribi.
Dive?
The light binding is gonna come through, and the dive does indeed happen. Bartholdi will come through. Free Carrots, however, flashes in with the Aegis Assault, will be able to take down Fastlight in reply. Gotta be careful though, Qiyana now on the run. The Pantheon is now the one in some trouble.
Whoa!
Qiyana tries to flash forwards onto Afribi. Bartholdi will be able to take Fruity Carrots down. Managed to escape this situation though. Afribi very low on health. Qiyana, if she can land anything onto this Varus, but she cannot. Varus still kiting away. Lauai dropping low, and Afribi will pick up a second one. It's BOGO kills for the Varus.
Tragedy, disaster in that bot side there. Bartholdi and Afribi each pick up a double kill for themselves. The right people that you want those kills onto, right? The lethal tempo Varus, the on hit needs a little bit more gold to get that engine started, and he's got it with that double kill. And also Bartholdi on this Volibear. I wonder if he's going to end up going the Sundered Sky kind of really fast Volibear PTA that we're going to see. I would love to see that. It's a really it's so strong right now, and with those 2 kills in his back pocket, he can look to beat out Fruity in any of these 2v2s, whether it's mid or top here. They are going to go on Nuclear Viking side to try to invade these Raptors as he realizes, hey, my bottom side camps are gone. Bartholdi took all of them. I saw the vision, Brackish. I saw what they were trying to do. Yep. It's just the execution just a little bit off. Whoa!
Yeah, not quite there, unfortunately. As the camera is also not quite there for a second. We'll see the red side fountain for a moment, but we can talk about the rest of the map in the meantime. Tunneler already been picked up by Bartholdi, which is one of those components for the Sundered Sky. You can also follow it up with things like the Titanic Hydra, the Iceborne Gauntlet, so you maintain this very beefy aspect. You're not giving up too much in the way of tankiness, and you're getting a lot in the way of damage.
Yeah, and the thing is, he can jump onto these, this immobile Asher, she flashes onto you, he can Q onto you with that extra movement speed. She's pretty much dead to rights, as we do see Fruity hyper-indexing onto that bot side.
Yeah, gotta be a little bit careful here, though. Grand Entrance does land on fast, like the TP now coming through. Flash out as Roskilde will join the play. Fruity, no way out. We'll be able to put the shield up for a moment, but it's as simple as an arrow through the back. And a freebie will go onto this killing spree. In the meantime, Bartholdi knows exactly where his jungler is, and thus will be able to turn that into a full set of first Kevins.
Yeah, might even fancy himself a gank into this top side. Dusty is playing a little far ahead. That goes down. Dusty should back off the wave right now.
It's got vision. Doesn't fear it too much, although Kenji might look for something. Dominus is available. Dusty, you need to get out of this one, but there are no flashes available. Just trying to hit the ultimate in time. Will be able to go mega, but does not have the damage to really threaten Kenji in this situation. Ends up just being a whole lot of nothing in the top lane. Fruity also looking for an angle in, but there's not really a way to get onto Kenji. Meanwhile, Roskilde bounds the way onto Qiyana. There's no mana on this Ahri, and no mana. That will be the first kill for the Sylas as well. Venom Crest, they take their early advantages, and they start getting it rolling.
Yeah, they've got that kind of full press early game composition, right? Slam you, try to slam you in every lane. They got the Varus Lux, they have the Sylas, they got Renekton. I'm kind of surprised that Kenji opted in to go so aggressive after Bartholdi left, right? I feel like there would have been a little bit of miscommunication there. He could have probably easily picked up that kill onto Dusty, but it doesn't really matter. With that mid lane kill from Roskilde, Venom Crest are going to look to transfer that over into a dragon. 3 grubs have been taken, like you mentioned earlier on, and so Venom Crest kind of have complete control of the map, right? Top lane's doing fine, mid lane got a kill, bottom lane for Brody and Laowai are just not going their way, and this Varus, 3-0-2 now. You can't hope to trade with him until Fruity hits that Grand Skyfall, right, onto this bot side. That's where they can really start to make a difference and maybe punch through some of this gold lead that Venom Crest has acquired.
I sense a fellow OG over there. Grand Skyfall. His old ultimate's name. Grand Starfall nowadays.
Ooh, my bad.
Back when it was a circle. Oh, I'm
whoops.
feeling it. A fellow boomer.
Whoops.
No, it's fine. I'm here for you, buddy. Been playing the game far too long. But yeah, the problem we saw, Qiyana just about able to get away from Skill. Well, I say that. Skill able to continue the trade forwards. The Kingslayer makes this so lopsided every time.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to make is the early game, last time around, forcing the flash this time, Charm, there's no follow-up damage and she's all out of mana. The problem, or the thing that makes it so different from last game, is the early objectives all went to Belfast Storm, but the early kills all went to Verzik. Unfortunately, both have gone one way this time, and we can already see nearly a 3k gold advantage. We're not even at the 10-minute mark. And there's going to be more grubs coming up shortly. There's going to be another Drake coming up shortly. And I'm worried that we get to a point in the game that by the time Nuclear Vikings are hitting their power spikes, it's already too far gone. They're already down a soul point. They're already given over Shelly. They've lost several turrets across the map as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're well far behind the curve right now. Mid lane not looking too hot at the moment. Bottom lane as well, not able to keep up. And Freebie and Bartoldi are so ahead of the damage curve right now that they can look to skirmish on any part of the map, right? You want to go bot side? Let's fight for the dragon. You want to roam support up? Fastlane can come there with Bartoldi, with Roskilde, and they can start fighting for those second round of grubs. Although, we do see a potential play. Fruity is here. Kenji knows, right? Mid lane's missing. They spotted him. They know there's a dive coming. No TP for Roskilde here. Let's see if Kenji can outplay this. No Dominus available as well.
I mean, the outplay is walking out, which is exactly what Kenji's done. Flashes away from the Gnar as well. And just like that, it's jungler. It's a top flash for top flash. And now the Nuclear Vikings are the ones who need to get out of this as Bartoldi, Fastlane making their way in. Qiyana does not respect it. She will take a final spark to the face, and Kenji, the one who is engaged upon, is the one who picks up the kill.
And I like how Venom Crest didn't give up on it. They kind of forced Nuclear to stay a little bit because Kenji was positioning so aggressively. They had to know someone was coming, but I don't think they expected 4 members of Venom Crest to be up there. I know I didn't expect Fastleg to be up there. A Freebie just chilling down in this bot lane 1v2. Has to be careful. Ash Arrow is available. Fastleg on the wrong side.
The Ash Arrow is still down for the moment, actually, as the Grand Starfall will drop onto Fastleg. The exhaust does a whole lot of work. Laowai will be able to secure the kill, but a Freebie doesn't feel terribly threatened right now. Might need to, as Qiyana again attempting to do something on the roam. Ward drops down. She's not able to find a charm angle, and the follow-up simply isn't there. So, yes, Nuclear Vikings get a kill, but every time Venom Crest gets something, they get something and more.
And Brackish, it went on to Laowai, of all people. The support Rakan is down. Skilled it.
Gonna go for the chase down. Gonna have to use the Stolen Spirit Rush to get away. So Qiyana, her woes will not continue. Never mind. As Roskilde continues to feel himself. The Ash Arrow comes across, however, and the CC chain might just be enough for Roskilde. The healing is so monstrous. He is gonna just abscond away once more. And that's so emblematic of this early game. Now the gold leads up to 4,000. And even when they find the catch, even when they find the full CC chain, Nuclear Vikings are not able to take down one of these main carries.
They don't got enough oomph, right? That was Merktread's hard carrying Roskilde there. And obviously Silas fundamentally a tanky champion. Yeah, but it's just so sad because they got the CC chain, but we talked about them being behind the damage curve. Uh-oh.
Oh, the damage.
Right.
A light binding onto Brody, and 75% of his health just evaporates as the waves continue to be pushed in. Now, Nuclear Vikings bot lane can't stay bot lane. They're going to have to concede more plates, more gold, more farm as a freebie continues to grow and grow. I would love production if I could have a look at the gold right now as we see Venom Crest looking towards their second Drake as well. But everywhere on the map, Venom Crest are building up advantages. They have item leads. We see full items coming through already. The Sunder Sky, as you mentioned, on Bartholdi. The Eclipse on Kenji. And there's nothing like that for Nuclear right now.
Yeah, they are just so far behind right now. You do have Fruity with the first item being built, but other than that, once a freebie backs, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to pick up his first item here.
Oh yeah, Bork
Roskilde
no worries.
Yeah, he's fine. Bork will be able to get there. Roskilde is probably going to end up being able to pick up their item very, very soon. Maybe one more wave. Probably this cannon is getting shelved in a little bit. Half HP, but he might be liable just to 1v1 Qiyana here. Even with half HP, the Sylas, a menace in the mid lane. And right now, there's no objective that Nuclear Vikings can look to contest, right? Herald's coming up in about 40 seconds. Pretty sure it's going to be Venom Crest, right? They're going to most likely roam fast leg back up to that top side, leave a freebie down there, and maybe they can fancy a dive Nuclear onto a freebie like they tried with Qiyana and Fruity. But even then, you're trading so much gold away, so much objectives, that Venom Crest just seem like they have complete control from top to bottom. I can't find the weakness right now that Nuclear Vikings can exploit other than trying to go for these one-to-one trades, a kill for an objective, maybe use a numbers advantage here and there with Fruity. That's all you can do with this global.
Dusty.
But laning phase is over, Brackish. Where is Fruity going to ult?
That's an excellent question. I would love to give you a good answer as Bartholdi makes his way top lane to pick up his 4th kill onto Dusty's Gnar. And yeah, okay, you can pick up a Rift Herald. That's not going to need to go top. Kenji will be able to delete the turret. There it goes.
Yep.
First brick secured. Lowy trying to find the angle in. The damage comes through onto a freebie, but he places away. The TPs are now coming through. Qiyana joins the play, but she is still incredibly weak. Kenji slicing, dicing, dropping all the damage. A freebie does drop, but the chase down from Venom Crest is going to be too much to deal with. Kenji flashing forwards onto Qiyana. The light binding lands as well. And before she can even Spirit Rush out, it's a triple kill for the Croc, and on top of that, Bartholdi gets the Herald, and on top of that, Shibby, they get the tier 1 bot.
How high can they stack this? Right on top of this, on top of that. Venom Crest, punch after punch after punch. Nuclear Vikings just taking body shots left and right. Top lane Kenji gets the turret, TP's down. Bartholdi gets mid, they take down the mid tier 1, and yeah, you got a kill. A freebie died. But who did it go on? It went back on to Fruity, who is not primed, who's not poised to carry this game in the slightest. They are down nearly 8,000 gold for Nuclear Vikings here. Venom Crest, we're just in the Baron waiting room right now.
2 minutes until the next Drake will come up. We're on to a Mountain Soul as well. And if Venom Crest secured this Soul, I have no idea how Nuclear Vikings gets any picks for the rest of the game, outside of some monumental throw.
Yeah, and it felt like Venom Crest were just inside Nuclear Vikings' head, right? They knew what they were looking for on that bot side. The regank came in. Even with Qiyana on the roam, they were able to get 2 kills on each of their early carries. Dusty would be able to walk it out here, although Roskilde can just
But look who's behind you!
Uh-oh.
Bartholdi on the chase. Stormbringer drops. The Gnar will make a little bit of space, but there's no flash on Dusty. There's no way out for the Gnar. Roskilde will be given his 2nd kill of the game. Bartholdi decides he's got enough already.
Yeah, I was surprised all the way came around. Bartholdi came in to kill Dusty. They're going to crash that into that tier 2 top side. Could be another big paycheck going over to this Sylas here, who has opted in for the more damage-orientated build, right? We see the Hextech Proto Belt into most likely what's going to be a Lichbane 2nd item.
Yep.
And that's just going to ruin Nuclear Vikings, right? If he gets onto Qiyana, if he gets onto Brody, Fruity, any 3 of them, so much upfront damage.
He
doesn't even need a Lichbane.
He's got Medjay's.
He's feeling himself. He is
I mean,
100%.
I don't want to sound negative here, but I feel like Venom Crest are in the sort of position where kind of feeling themselves is probably the correct response.
Kenji?
Gonna put some damage down onto Dusty. Fast Light looking for the angle in. The Gnar does respect the presence of the Lux, but now they can just pull on back. The amount of vision that is present for Nuclear Vikings on the map is nowhere near enough to step towards the river, so it'll be a free Mountain Drake, it'll be a free Soul, and then the timer. The Doomsday clock is ticking, Shibby. After this Drake goes down, it's 5 minutes until, for all intents and purposes, Nuclear Vikings lose the game.
It's ticking? Oh, I thought it exploded 12 minutes ago after that double kill. That's when I thought the Doomsday clock already ticked. The alarm went off. Realistically, like you mentioned, Dragon goes down 5 minutes until this game becomes nigh unwinnable. A 1% chance maybe at most for Nuclear Vikings. But I just want to talk about Fastleg's Lux pick here because it runs so much interference into this pick composition that Nuclear wants, right? They all want to try to go in at the same time with the Rakan, with the Ahri, with the Pantheon. And if you throw down a Light Binding, you throw down her E, it slows, it roots, and it kind of desyncs the dive, the pick potential that Nuclear Vikings want to do here. And you've seen it happen time and time again. Kiana gets caught out with the Light Binding, Fruity potentially, and then you have one person going in, one person stunned up, and Venom Crest are allowed to pick and pull apart this Nuclear Viking composition. Let's see it.
Meanwhile, the ults are coming through though. Kenji goes into the Dominus. Not tanky enough though. The healing will do some work to allow some members of Venom Crest to join the fray. Fastleg dropping low. The Ignite will secure a double kill for Fruity, but in comes the bear. He is ready to cause some pain. Lawai taking a chunk. Roskilde has to try and get out. Will be able to survive. And Bartoldi actually drops as the hammer is brought down. The Nuclear Vikings, berserkers in their own right, until they are dead, they will keep swinging.
Yeah, they went for that big play here with Fruity and Kiana on the flank, and unfortunately, a freebie wasn't there, wasn't able to set down a chain of corruptions. Took the mid lane tier 2 for himself, so got himself a nice big paycheck, picked up the Ginsus here. But yeah, that was like a 3v4 into like a 4v5 almost, and then everybody started trickling in for Venom Crest, and then that's kind of how Nuclear Vikings were able to take that. They picked apart this composition. They got Kenji first, then Fastleg, and then it was pretty easy for them to focus on either Bartoldi or Roskilde. It did look like those two were gonna turn it here onto Lawai, but there just wasn't enough damage just yet. Venom Crest still very comfortably in the lead. It cut down the 8,000 gold lead to 6,000.
Don't call it a comeback, but if Venom Crest keep making that kind of mistake, that is exactly the kind of lifeline that would potentially get Nuclear Vikings back into this game. As I say that though, Fruity's getting dove on. The damage is right there. Aegis Salt will help for a bit. TP's coming down as well as Dusty has to jump out. And of course, we're post 20 minutes as well, so that's red buffs for everybody.
Yep, and that'll be Baron for everybody as well here. Venom Crest, they take out the jungler, and Nuclear Vikings, I wouldn't even be mad if you try to go for this and stop it. Why not?
I mean, how much more do they have to lose right now? Like, jumps forwards. The damage coming
Ooh!
through is pretty damn nice, actually. Kenji taking a chunk. Dusty able to survive for a fair while. Roddy doing decent damage, but eventually will get chased down as well. This game, not as done as I first put out. Yes, Nuclear Vikings are losing the fights. They stopped the Baron for a while. Fruity is now back up, and they can still do the Jesus take the wheel, Starfall into the pit play.
Yeah, they have Flash available as well. There's so many
They've got
ways
vision on it.
to potentially steal this. They
Now-
had vision on it, yeah. I mean, Fruity, this is where you have to come up big, right? Flash available, Grand Skyfall available. Let's see if they can try to get this steal in, install the game out just a little bit longer. They're not even going to try to chance it.
Fruity is waiting for the time, but the vision is being cleared out so quickly. Baron dropping below 2,000 health, comes into the pit. They hold off just long enough. Fruity not quite able to kill Kenji as well. The Baron will be secured by Venom Crest just a moment too late on the Starfall.
Yeah, I mean, also really good job from Venom Crest to like delay the timing. You saw them all stop DPSing Bearing, allow it to regen a little bit, and then they all bursted it at once before Fruity can come down. They get the smite, they get the secure. 45 seconds until this Mountain Dragon and Mountain Soul potentially for Venom Crest. And surely, Brackish, at that point, the 1% win chance for Nuclear Vikings goes down to 0.1 maybe?
You can't get much lower, but if that soul is secured, it becomes so difficult for Nuclear Vikings to find any picks. And we already talked about it. They have crafted for themselves what is, in essence, a pick comp. You want to land an Asher onto something. You want to lay a CC onto a single target and take them down to give yourselves an advantage. And most of the targets you're going to be hitting at this point in the game, realistically, it's Bartholdi, it's Kenji, it's Roskilde, and they are all pretty survivable in their own right. Yes, Roskilde hasn't gone for the Roa build, but it's not going to matter all that much when you get the shielding, when you get the extra free resists just for existing.
Exactly. And also just the Kingslayer healing coming in. Silas, one of those deceptively beefy champions, right? Like, doesn't really, give off tank vibes, but can definitely stick into the fight, stick into the pocket a lot longer than you expect, especially with an added Mountain Soul on top of that. They've got the 6 scrubs ready to go on that stacking, so pushing down these turrets, they should cut through it like butter, and that they shall. Look at the first inhibitor turret going down here.
3 members of Nuclear Vikings are not in their base right now, so Venom Crest able to start knocking on the Nexus turret. Rather, Qiyana looking to get some of the damage down. Lawai has been able to find Roskilde right here, but the healing might just be too much as Bartholdi is hitting away in the fights. Qiyana is able to get one back. The first Nexus turret has fallen. Freebie just stepping in to body Nuclear Vikings away. Kenji will keep on hitting onto the Nexus turrets, and that will drop as well. The Nuclear Vikings are locked in the cage of their fountain as Venom Crest have decided that enough is enough. They will close out the game, and unfortunately they will lock the Nuclear Vikings into relegations.
Yeah, and Venom Crest propel themselves forward just a little bit here with a little bit of luck, with a lot of skill on their end. Like you said, they could maybe end up first. I think the death said it would also cause a colossal collapse from some other members, some other teams here. Sorry, but realistically, Venom Crest, for all intents and purposes, have secured themselves a top 3 spot, and that's nice. That's love. You love to have that coming into the later weeks. All right, guys, we're fine. We're top 3. We can go a little easy. You can rest up. Nuclear Vikings, like you said, now have to prepare not only for the next couple of matches, but also for relegations.
On the other side, things become a lot more fun, in a sense, for Nuclear Vikings, because there's no pressure on them anymore. They're locked relegations. So what? Which means now they can swing for the fences. They can draft insane comps and go, hey guys, gut check. Can you deal with our shenanigans? Oh, you can't? Great. And if not, it's no big problem.
Yeah, we could see some wacky, wild compositions. I'm waiting for the Zyre to come back out in that mid lane. I want to see Fruity pilot another couple wacky junglers here. I think Nuclear Vikings, in an odd sense, although you lose this game, a weight gets lifted off of your shoulders, and for Venom Crest similarly so, right? Like, they don't, obviously they probably want to try to shoot for first, that's their goal, but it takes a little bit of luck involved in there, but they've guaranteed themselves that top 3 spot, and I mean, hey, that's all you could really ask for, and yeah, weights being lifted off both of the shoulders of these teams in different ways. Went just about as I think the desk and us expected. Nuclear Vikings, really cool compositions. I saw the vision. I saw the potential. But when you fall... Yeah, there were some moments where the Ash Arrow lands, the REN, the Pantheon come diving in from the side. They get a kill. But when you're that far behind the damage curve, when you can't really do too much more after that, it becomes really, really rough. Venom Crest played their team comp to the strength. They understood they had priority, and they used it to their best advantage. And I think, really, Bartholdi, very smart pathing from him. Just go in and invade Pantheon, take the jungle camps, and really set up that dive onto Brody, onto Lawai.
Very smart pathing, as you say. It's kind of what we've come to expect from Bartoli, one of the sort of big brain junglers that we have here in the Four Nations. I'll let the desk talk about him and the rest of the Venom Crest win just now. Orbital, you want to wrap us up?
I mean, we would like to, but I think Zika has a few kind words to say. Let's all bow our heads in prayer here.
Nuclear Vikings, what can be said? I mean, the split started off very well for them. One of our Div 2 teams coming up through promotions from at the end of last split, through other means as well, of course. But generally speaking, they were looking good. This was a team that in open quals last year looked oh so strong. In Div 2 had a very good showing as well. It's very unfortunate that this is how their split ends. I do not believe there is a way for them to come off of that 8th place spot. They have locked themselves into relegations with this loss. And I just want to pay homage to the very interesting strategies that we have seen throughout this split from this team. They have come at the game with a different angle, a different viewpoint. They've had to bring subs in at different points, and they've still looked like the same team. And that is a virtue to have, is when you can bring subs in and still look like a consistent team. It shows just how well these players can play together, and even if this split wasn't their split, I have a lot of faith that relegations is something they can get through, and we can see a rebuild around some of the key players for this team next split, ready to come and face off again. But honestly, to all of Nuclear Vikings, to Dusty, to Fruity, Kiana, Brody, Lauwai, good run, guys. You tried your absolute damnedest, and it's been a pleasure watching the games. You can still play upset for Verzik on Monday.
Blue shell
That's
time.
the big thing. You can still play upset. You can still be annoying to the rest of the league, even if you can't make it out of relegations. You can still make other teams' lives harder, and I think that's the key thing here. Is you can still have some fun with it. As Brackish mentioned, you can just kind of have a little bit of fun with it. See stat check teams and say, how can you deal with our randomness? How can you deal with our really weird style of play? If you can't, here we are.
So that's that. Let's take a quick, brief look at how it actually happened in this game, because it was pretty much shooting for the fences immediately. We saw a very promising invade attempt from Nuke, but they didn't find the right bush. And then this skirmish initially looked very promising, but it was a matter of both junglers being in the right place. Venom Crest setting up for the dive in advance, securing one, and it looks like it's gonna go pretty even. Fruity in the right place, right time, picks up one. However, this play just turns into a malady for Nuclear Vikings, as an overextension into the river results in a stat check, results in another stat check, and suddenly it's 4-1, and it's all over from there. There was nothing else to say beyond this point, and really, it is sad to see, because there was the attempt to try and really push for it, knowing this was your last shot as Nuke to really develop and actually, well, escape the relegation. But on the other side, though, excellent news for Venom Crest. Not a clean game by any merit, but they played well enough to walk it in and collect their win that they oh so needed to, because the challenges that lay ahead are very important as we look towards playoffs.
And those playoffs is where we're looking next, because those standings are now finalized going into week number 7. We have quite a few matches coming up that'll be very interesting. As we said, Venom Crest have now secured at least top 4. That much is identified, but 3, 2, maybe 1 if things get a little bit crazy. We could go ahead and take a look at those standings. We'll not only see that the bottom few have already bottomed out with Nuclear Vikings. I believe Belfast Storm is pretty much riding pretty hard on that line as well. There is still a possibility that can move up, but that is now a very quickly shrinking vibe right now. Taking a look at DMG Esports and Paragon as well, they are also riding that line. We have identified that they can also move up, but at the same time move down. And then of course Versik following up behind Venom Crest, and then Lions Creed and Ruddy all topping the tables. I mean, there's quite a few matches I believe coming up as well that may shake up the standings or just be very enjoyable to watch. So I want to get your thoughts here. We'll start with you, Zika. Which matches are you most interested about watching in this final week?
Week 7, day 1. Verzik versus Nuclear. Can Nuclear play upset to Verzik's run to get to upper bracket? Game number 2 on week 7, day 2. I don't know if it is game number 2 in terms of day, but it's my game number 2. It's Verzik versus Paragon. The last time we saw these two teams face off against each other, it was a bloody game. It was a very bloody game. And I think Verzik were the ones that came out on top of it. I'm very interested to see if Paragon can kind of take that. In fact, it might have been Paragon that came out on top. But it was a close game, no less. And I think that if anybody is going to stand in the way of Verzik getting to that upper echelon, it is Paragon. And it's going to be a very interesting game to see for this middle of the table, to see who goes lower bracket, who goes upper bracket. What are we going to see there?
I like it.
I want to double down. Upper bracket, softest ball question you've ever given. We take a look next week. Venom Crest, they have 2 matchups. Their matchups are the 2 teams ahead of them / tied with them on the standing. They've got to play both the currently faltering Lions Creed and the ever-dominant Ruddy. This is a pivotal 2 matches as we look towards the playoffs. If Venom Crest are able to win both, depending on how fast they win, versus Lion Crest, again, making the assumption if they were able to do so, they would have control over their own fate to lock top 2. Again, they have to beat both the top teams, so no easy challenge. It's going to be extremely exciting to follow this clash for who's going to finish 1 through 3 at the end of the split. It is all to play for still. Nothing is locked on the top side of the bracket whatsoever. So these last 2 days are going to be essential, because when we look forward, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be getting precursors in these Venom Crest matches, but much higher up in the standings when we hit those best of series.
That I would agree with 100%, because placement matters more than you might think if you are following and wanting to know a little bit more about this bracket. The reason that we are amplifying this message about first, second, third, and fourth, first and second get their selection of matchups, starting with first place getting the select of the third and fourth, and then if you are 5th or 6th, you get stuck with no extra life. It's a double elimination bracket. You do not want to be down there, so these matches really do matter. That's the lineup that we are taking a look at, and that will start next Monday, same time, same place. At the current moment, though, we are done for this week. From the Glasses Squad here on the desk, as well as the casters and everyone in the first half of the broadcast, thank you so much for tuning in to the UKEL4 Nations broadcast, and we will see you all next week.
You can call me David Ramsey. The way I handle these fans, we ain't messing with the old model. New era, new kid, we full throttle. Just know that the come up is not a fluke. My amigos, they focus, know what to do. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one on my team look at an empty plate. Yeah. Went from a boy to a man. Ay, every day been making plans. Ay, they don't really understand. Ay, gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam. Yeah, only worry about the fans. Yeah, I won't compromise the brand. Yeah, I've been saving up the bands. Whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. Rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, what you really dumb if you spend all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah, rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you ain't really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, man. Nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, when you're really dumb if you spend all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you ain't a businessman, man. I promise you the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah.